I'm going to do that. I'm going to do some music.
Hello, let me tell you about me. I am the one that draws you in as I speak. Come closer, wipe the tear from your cheek. Sit down, come around, soon the sound will be gone. And the memory of me will keep you stuttering on, still stuttering on, and on, stuttering on. Let me tell you a story, a simple allegory. My time in purgatory, no more freedom for me. I must have been mad. I whispered in the ear of the one woman I couldn't have. I talked with the devil, brought him down to his knees. Let me tell you about me. I write your favorite song. I've sung with angels, I've spoken tongues. Now that you're gone, stuck here stuttering on. I said hello, let me tell you about me. I am the one that bows you in as I speak. Come closer, wipe the tears from your cheek. Sit down, come round, 'cause when the sound is gone, the memory of me will keep you stuttering on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what you shouldn't do? You shouldn't have your phone on. Let's do this nice segue thing here. That was pretty ugly. Hey, everybody. You missed the excitement. So hopefully everything's I don't know, give me a thumbs up. Everything's showing up right there. Jeez. So I had OBS up running. Well, I thought it did. And I looked down and I had no sound. And things were all going in the wrong direction. And the Go Accelerar is great, but something's happened as I moved my stuff over from my desktop to another working laptop. And my routing is all goofed up. So that's fun. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing good tonight and people stop in. We're going to be talking about cameras tonight. And I know that's a subject's been beaten to death, but I think we need to beat it a little bit more. I am looking for a new camera. I'm using a Sony A5100 I'd mentioned to people, and I like it. I got it cheap on eBay, used, which is always scary. Although I've had good luck with eBay. I'm just curious, does anybody else use eBay for equipment like this and had good luck or bad luck? I've had some pretty good luck with it. So, all right, sound is there. All right, cool. Just making sure we're actually live because, to be honest with you, that was it was like tennis shoes in the dryer, kind of thumping around, and it's not good. Yeah, I want to buy a new camera. I don't mind buying used. That's fine. I think there's a lot of upsides to doing that, clearly, and I'm not even sure. There's John and I've been talking about whether or not I might be having a little autofocus problem or with my sensor, and we're just not really sure. I really like this camera. It was $350 used, and it's been pretty good outside of some weird issues with the autofocus, and I think it's me because I do a lot of this. So blessed testimony says I can't trust eBay. I just stick to Amazon. Yeah, I think once you're burned, I got burned on the site in January before I bought from eBay. That's a whole nother story. A Macari, is that the name of it? Yeah, I got taken on Macari. $350. I got my money back, which is incredible when you think about it. It's scary because we don't have money to lose like that, and it was not good. So I'm going to let John in. I don't want to. I see him in my little thing down there. He's all itching. He's like, I got to talk cameras. Dude spoke for an hour and a half yesterday about cameras. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to let him in so he can start telling me I'm going in the wrong direction about cameras. We do use different cameras. He's in the Canon family. I'm in the Sony family. And so he lives on the other side of the tracks, but I still talk to him. So I'm going to bring him in here. We're going to get going, but I do have some questions for you guys. And I want chat to riffraff. I do want chat to actually come in. First of all, can you guys just drop in chat quick? Let me know what your primary camera is right now, just so I can get a sense of what we got in the community. And then I'm going to start asking you guys some questions because, you know, you guys got to help me pick out a camera here. So let me bring John in here. Hey, John, how you doing?
It's about time. Jesus,
Oh,
I was just going to take a sip.
Oh, my God. 5 minutes. You couldn't wait. You couldn't
Holy
wait 5 minutes.
Jesus.
Jeez, my
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
I really wanted to go like a half hour, man, and just, you know.
I feel like we did this whole show yesterday by accident with no audience at all.
It was by accident. Then at some point, like an hour and a half in, we said, oh, maybe we should have this conversation tomorrow with people around.
Oh, I love talking about cameras anyway, because everybody's so passionate. And, you know, I just want to let you know, Jeffrey's trying to put me on the dark side, and I am not against a Sony system by any means. There's pros and cons with all of them. The only reason I have the Canon stuff is I'm coming from a older system and I upgraded to a newer system, and I'm using old L glass, which is very expensive.
Okay. So you're kind of like a lot of people. Sometimes we talked about this yesterday amongst everything.
Right.
And one of the things we talked about was, you know, how do people end up where they end up? And I started going through my head and I thought, did I buy into some hype thing and this and that? And then I started thinking, you know, I really didn't know a lot when I started looking, and I realized, I think after the fact, I got drug into some algorithms, and I thought this is all just natural. I'm going, you know, I'm supposed to be going down all Sony almost. and maybe in a way, I just kind of went there.
Well, I personally think that it's a great competition that keeps both companies honest when they're both pushing out things to the max. And we're the ones that are benefiting by the great products. I mean, to be really honest with you, because I have been looking at, you know, high-end cameras, pretty high-end for the consumer, for the last like 5 or 6 years. And in about 2014 or 15, we had a 5D Mark III. Yeah. And now I have a Canon EOS R and I have a Canon M50 Mark II. But it's just like the improvement in 5 years is incredible. And I think it's what's his name? Blestimony is Rico, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that's Rico up there. He's got a Canon SL3, okay? And I think he said that it's underrated or something. And it kind of is, because here's the thing with the Canon SL3. It's not mirrorless, it's a DSLR, right? But it's the same exact sensor as the Canon M50. So there is absolutely no difference in the quality that you're going to get from it, okay? The great benefit, though, is that, I mean, it's the M50 is a mirrorless and the SL3 is not, but it's great to stream with and it works and it's got a clean HDMI, and those are great things. So
I'm just kind of clicking through here.
I'm super loud.
You're always super loud. You could not mic up, you'd be loud, dude. I mean, I'm just flipping through a little bit just to get an idea of what people are playing with. And of course, I see a lot of Canon people in here. So that's making me feel uncomfortable. I do see Sammy in here. Sammy's my guy. He's going to be Sony. So I got somebody got my back a little bit, but there are a lot of Canons in here. Let's see what Mama's got here.
Hot. That's crazy.
Well, at least you can see yours. I can't even see mine.
It's just crazy because, like, I've talked about this numerous times, but it's lately, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. There's been a lot of updates and things are changing on the fly. And Jeff and I like spent 6 hours trying to figure things out this past week. It almost makes me want to spend the money and just buy vMix. Yeah. And then, like, it doesn't show up hot in my OBS, right? Because I know how to freaking read, you know, my meters, but it's just
Yeah,
I
Robert.
backed, I backed them down. So let me know. Let me know how it sounds.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, I mean, I'll talk like a human being, so I should be okay. And then there's John who just comes from the diaphragm and just out to the back. And you know, Lala makes a point here that you and I also discussed it today as I go through. Now, the issue is here that we started getting this conversation about a week or so ago that, you know, as much as I like the A5100 and I'm using the 16 millimeter Sigma that everybody loves, and it is a beautiful lens. But and one of the considerations, I actually had a conversation with you where I'm like, you know, maybe I'll just jump in and get a Canon and then I can have one of each and here and there, and it's a little cheaper depending. And then the more I thought about it is I don't want to start worrying about interchangeable lenses and dealing
Yeah,
with all that.
two different lens systems, right?
And then, you know, I know you can use LUTs and a lot of these things, but I thought, well, it's the same ecosystem, the same menu system. I've already kind of gotten into it. If I'm going to keep the A5100 or eventually even get a 6100, maybe for a B cam, then I don't know if I want to be messing around with different ecosystems. That's probably me, where I know some people love that. I don't know. I don't really want to be a photography file, you know, that's collecting every, I just want things that work. And
So
yeah, go ahead.
So I was gonna say that is Rico. How you doing, Rico? So and actually Chris McCormick here in here is one of my personal friends. Actually, he's got an 80D, which is a good camera, but it does not have a clean HDMI. But you can, and I think I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I told them the same thing. It's the same with the Canon M50, the first series, and the 80D. You can put that on manual focus it on your face, and then you can use that to stream still. So you're capable to stream, but if you're doing a lot of move around, if you're doing yoga, I don't do yoga. So, but if you're doing yoga or something like that, maybe you need your autofocus, then that's a whole different story. And I have, and this is it, what you're looking at right here is the ZV-1 from the side. And this is my Sony ZV-1. And the great thing though, with the Sony ZV-1, it's really easy to use. So as far as like, since it's not an interchangeable lens, right? You know what I mean? I can get two of these. I can get the Canon, I can get this because I'm not sharing a lens. That's a fixed lens on there.
Sure.
You know? Yeah. So, and I talked about this with you, whereas, you know, for me, that is the perfect C camera for me. For some people, it might be the perfect B, but I don't think I would ever, I mean, this is just me personally, because I'm stepping up, you know, to a different level where I want my main camera to have interchangeable lenses and have the changeability for me. That's what I want.
Absolutely. And so that's kind of where I went. And so the truth of it is, based on that, I mean, let's just get it out that I want to have the conversation about the differences of the Canon and the Sony, but the truth of it is, I'm probably going to have to lean into the Sony family because I'm already there and used to it. I don't want to start over. And so and I'm happy with that. I think it's a good camera. You know, there's pros and cons of everything.
Right.
And you know, the truth of it is, if you look in, the Canon color is amazing and the menu system's amazing. I think they have better phone apps and things like that.
I agree.
Everyday tech. I personally saw the light and sold my Canon L glass.
F you.
All right. I'm just, you know, there are some people with some sense. Of course, I didn't mention how many systems I went through between Canon and Sony. Wow.
Oh my God. Please tell me, Patrick, if you are you like, did you go through the Luminex? These people, I don't know how, like I get it. The 4K is great, but these people, there's no autofocus system. It's horrible. Why would you ever want to get into that system? That's crazy. But I mean, look, this is what we know, right? I think if you're getting one major camera, it's a great idea because I think the Sony does so many things, right? So you can grow into it. But here's the thing where it depends on the person, how adaptable they are, how good they are with their tech. And I think like a lot of people that pick up an SL3 or they pick up a Canon M50 Mark II, it is going to cut that learning curve down by a good amount for you to get product out, content, media for your YouTube channel, for streaming. And if it can do that for you and it makes you a lot easier with setting up everything every week, or till you can grow into that camera and grow out of it, then that's, those are the things I think you have to weigh. But if you're comfortable with the camera system and you know your settings, then you're just going to have to go find them in the Sony menu, which can be frustrating sometimes. But when you figure that menu out and you're comfortable with it, and you know that screen, you can punch a hole through it, it's not going to do anything, because you can't do anything but touch and where your autofocus point is. And that's it.
That's it.
That is it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, it's the 6400 just doesn't, it has a touchscreen. It does, if you want to use it to focus. That's about all you can really do with it. There's not much,
So if I'm like, I have my Canon behind me, right? So if I want to go and just touch and switch up my ISO or anything, I could just boop, boop, boop right there. The screen's facing me, it flips out, and that's it. If I want to do that with this ZV-1, which is, I got the camera on the ZV-1, so the flip screen is out. If I go touch this flip screen over here, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change those. I have to go hit the FN picture in the button in the back, and then I have to toggle the dial to change my ISO and everything.
All right.
So, but it doesn't make it or break it, because I think that camera does so many good things.
No,
So
it just, no. Look, you can do, and I don't know. I haven't really I'll be honest with you, I haven't dug really deep into the app for the 6400. It's just limited. You can do some things on your phone and Bluetooth and all that, but it's not to the level of control that the Canon has, although it's gotten better.
Right.
That's for sure. I just wanted to read Rico here. The
Go ahead.
SL3 with Ecamm is a match made in heaven. No need for a capture card. That, that'll save you a couple of dollars, right?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that you're not getting the kind of look that you should be getting out of that camera with no capture card. So you may think it looks good, and it may be good for like Facebook at 720, but you're not going to get 1080p out of that.
Let's just, for example, let's just take a look at that. So for people who don't know, how is Rico getting interface?
Yeah, let's get clarification, actually. So if you're not using a capture card, you're either using the Canon app, right, with your USB. That's the only other way. So Rico, can you confirm that? And if that's the case, even, we have Everyday Tech here, which is Patrick, and he will confirm this. I won't even have to say it, because he knows off his head too, is that the what you're getting is 576p. So it's not even as good as quality as 720. And Patrick probably can confirm that.
Yeah, I'd like to know. That's a very interesting. If you didn't need a capture card and you're somehow pulling 1080, I'd be like, whoa, tell me more.
Because you're never gonna get 1080p out of a USB 2.
It's not possible, right?
It's not possible. So you have to use an HDMI, because that it travels so much faster, carries the sound over it, and it's faster. And so you need an HDMI.
So he's using HDMI.
But no, he's using a USB probably cord, using the Canon app, bringing that into Ecamm. If I'm incorrect, I'm not sure. We have to see what he says to confirm that. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. And but I think we went through this route where I spoke to you yesterday, Jeffrey, and it's like, I don't get why you wouldn't spend $20 on a capture card that could give you 1080p.
Yes. Because how much? $15, or you can get,
it's like $15 right now.
$15, and it'll get the job done, and no muss, no fuss. Yeah, give you 1080. It may be just slightly degraded compared to a Cam Link, but I think you got to be really looking hard in all this compression to find much of a difference. So disclaimer, not a camera guy, but I get tons of compliments on look, and I'm going.
I think he means USB.
I think so.
Unless he has IBS.
Look, he's getting compliments, so it's working for him.
Yeah, but who are the compliments from? You
always have to check who's complimenting you.
And I don't mean that in an insulting way. So I don't mean to come off like that. But what I'm saying is, who are the compliments from? Because if you're comparing it to a Logitech camera, then you may have on par, right? So because those are all USB, so you may have more, dynamic range with that camera and everything over a webcam, but you paid a good amount for that camera, and at
Yeah.
this point, I think you would be blown away of what you would do if you used a $20 or $15 capture card that I've done reviews on, and you could actually see the difference. And it's you don't have to spend $100 on a cam link, and the result is great.
I mean, it could be that in today's world, everybody's just watching on the phone, and that size that
That has a lot to do with it, right?
So, I mean, considering what I think right now, we're at like 75% of the people or more are using their phones for primary, things. So over the desktop. So in a way, it could be that most of those people are watching USB, and it just looks good, at that size.
Okay.
Sammy, you're right. Cameras are like drum heads or mics. It's the same battle, you know.
I see what Brian says up here about the menu. Do you see that?
Is he? I might be behind here a little bit because I saw Brian.
He's like, he said about the menu system. He says he's had that camera from Sony for 2 years and he still doesn't know where everything is in the menu.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I wanted to see where he was in here, but to put it up there, I missed him here. Here we go. The truth of it is, it's taken me a long time to figure out. It's not a smart menu system. It's gotten a little better as it's gone, but I will say that it's like whoever thought out the menuing system, their categories are just goofy. I don't know. So,
It doesn't flow.
Yeah, the 6400, of course, you can go in and create custom like menuing things and things. And I think there's 3 profiles you can set of how you want your settings and things. So maybe I could do a basic for photography, a basic for video, and one for streaming, and not have to go to too many settings. But the settings are a little bit goofy. I'm not going to lie.
The thing is, like, I see people here saying stuff about Ecamm has a built-in app and everything and this and that. But I'm just saying, from your camera with a high resolution, okay, with that big of a sensor, it is not being taken in with a USB at 1080p.
I don't think that's physically possible. So, I mean,
Yeah, you have to use an HDMI.
Well, and okay. And so, I mean, couldn't they use a micro to a regular HDMI cable and get
No, they have to. Well, they can use it's an HDMI. It's like for the M50, it's a micro HDMI to a full size HDMI. Okay. And that's how you would run it. Or you get an adapter dongle like I have. I said dongle. And mine goes full size HDMI to full size HDMI. And I have the dongle is the micro. And the reason I do that on that is because I'm constantly pulling it in and out all the time, like prom night. And you don't want to damage your HDMI cable by doing that excessive amount of times. So I leave that dongle in and I just take it off from the full size HDMI.
Okay. Well, I mean, what does Sammy got going? He says you don't need the Canon app for Ecamm. USB with Ecamm before the Canon app. Okay.
But how are you connecting?
But that's not the physical.
USB, and then you're telling me you're getting the full resolution out of that camera at USB? How's that possible?
Because he's streaming in 4K, so I think he's got a cam link of some kind.
You have to have HDMI.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good question. Like, how are you guys connecting that to get?
I don't think you guys realize that. Like, I get that you can do it, but I think once you go and get an HDMI cord and hook it, connect it with your, camera, I think you're going to see a huge increase of how good that look is. I can't run off of a USB and have this good of a look, and I'm downgraded right now in 720.
Oh, thank God. Could you imagine details of you in 1080 or 4K?
No, I don't think we need anybody from Ecamm, to be honest with you, because I'm just telling you that you can't run USB for it to run that. I'm telling you. So it's not rocket science. And I'm sure you can get a decent look. Like I said, It's not that. Like if you go and take a webcam and you have a picture on your screen that is not on a 24-inch screen, right? And it's small, like if you shrunk us down, the 720 looks
Focus.
really good.
Okay.
You know, are you frozen?
One of us was frozen. I don't know. It's probably me. I've had I had that kind of tech day.
I'm using.
I'm sorry. Go off. Yeah, he just said I have 2 capture cards, but use them to bring in laptop and iPad.
Right.
Okay. The iPad.
Right. I mean, that's a whole different story. About how to hook up, you know, your cameras with the capture cards and what you may use. I have an A10 Mini, which acts like a switcher / you know, 4 imports to for a capture card. So I could hook up 4 cameras to an A10 Mini, and it acts the same way as a capture card.
Yeah. So Lalo's saying yes. John Rico's video on his stream looks okay. I think Ecamm doesn't require a capture card for certain cameras.
Right.
True. That's true. But for some, they need to bring in via capture card. But I guess
that has nothing to do with resolution.
Right.
So I get you can do these things, but that is not going to give you an answer about what kind of resolution you're getting. So the idea is if you're paying for a camera, right, to give you a certain quality, I say spend the extra $20 if you don't want to spend $100 on and I get that because $100 on top of a camera that you just buy, that's a lot of dough, right? And you're trying to do everything else that always costs you a lot of money. So you get a $20 capture card that gives you about 80% of that Cam Link look, which is going to exceed the look that you're going to get with how you're using it with a USB cord. And I know this because like I've tested all that. I've ran those apps and I've run the Canon app and I've seen myself at 576 and I agree. It does look pretty darn good, especially compared to a webcam. But in general, you bought a camera, spend a little bit more money, and then you will be really impressed by the look.
Yeah, and stick with the $15 capture card and just give that a run. You know, funniest thing. You know, don't overstress it. But look, I don't want to like jump into because I don't really know like what they're interfacing. I think people, it's kind of like the old. Well,
even Sammy says right here, you can use USB, but it's 720p.
Yeah. Okay. And so,
and that makes sense.
And if you're watching 720p on, like, for example, even here on StreamYard, if I
like looking at us right now, right?
This in this format, which would be kind of like a phone like version, smaller version, you're like, oh, that looks really sharp and clean. But then once you pull in, this is going to be more like a bigger desktop version, starts to degrade the quality of that.
Exactly.
And resolutions just can't keep up. So yeah, if people are watching on the phone primarily, or who knows, or they just don't know resolution really, and they just think, well, that looks okay. It's just hard to say. You can't look. You can put an external hard drive into a USB, but that doesn't mean you're all getting the same speeds, right? So same value. So first of all, USB 2. 3.0 are going to give you totally different backup speeds and abilities. And then we're going to get into all sorts of things depending on the cables and the type of hard drive. Right. So the interfacing, the clean interfacing and the speed of the intercase or the ability of the interfacing is going to really dictate.
Yeah. It's just like someone saying, hey, I'm running an SSD. And I will tell you right now, I run a M.2 SSD off of a motherboard, right? And on a PCI 16 slot, which gives me about 33 megabytes per second compared to a regular SSD that would be like maybe 600 to 800. So that's, 3 to 4 times, 5 times faster. So, I mean, but I don't think, that's a lot of detail and no one cares about that stuff. So, and Sammy's bashing, he's getting the Canon hammer out and smashing us, but that is not true. It's not 95%. It's like maybe 93 or something. No, but it's look. There's a lot of pluses with the Sonys, and I'm not making a comparison about which one is better. I want to say which one is better for you, and I always like to say for you because, first of all, you're not going to get a better camera all the way around, brand new, than if you picked up a Canon Mark II. It's $700 for what that camera can give you. It's a lot of camera for what you're getting. Yeah. And then when you talk about the 61 or the 64, you couldn't get these types of things 5 years ago for under $1,000. It was impossible. You were paying double. So I appreciate that, Lala. So I'm giving a little bit more detail about things, and these are
Gotcha.
things that you're going to grow with anyway, and you're going to know, and then you'll see what I'm talking about, and it doesn't matter because your camera does it. So when you get that, capture card, it's as simple as plugging it in, making it work with an HDMI cord, and you're good to go. So you got the camera already, so you're 90% there.
It is interesting. I mean, as more and more people really do use phones to consume, or even iPads or whatever, that it is interesting. Like all this stuff, I don't know. Like we're all going to 4K, but yet most people aren't watching this stuff on desktops as much.
Right.
So that's really, but I mean, you can notice 4K on a phone, these new phones. So it's not like it's a waste, but it just seems like it's a little less of a bang for your buck in a way. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I see Brian asked about the ATEM Mini quality, and I'm just saying the ATEM Mini it maxes out at 1080 at 60 frames, and that is fine with me because honestly I run 30 frames per second on all my stuff, 2997, and I'm not looking to go 4K in a long time, and when I'm not stuck behind StreamYard and I'm streaming or I'm doing anything video wise, I think my picture looks mostly as good as a lot of people that are running 4K. So I don't really have, I think once you learn how to adjust your lighting, your cameras, and you get the most out of it, sometimes you're pretty darn impressed the way it looks. So,
oh yeah, it's amazing what you can do with what you have. So Rico says, well, John sold me. I'm hooking the camera to the camera. And the whole thing is, to your credit, John, you just want people to get the value of what they paid for. So that's the only reason you're concerned. If people are happy with where they're at, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, clearly Rico's getting good response. He feels good about it. You know what I mean? And I would not recommend running out and getting $100 cam link if
right.
Just
and this is like if I'm getting all the information that I need, and you're just telling me you're running off a USB, and that's the truth of it, how it works, then yeah, you're not getting the full gist of it.
We might get an answer. I'm sorry, we might get an answer on that. That's an answer that I'd like to know is how are those people hooking it up to Ecamm? Is it USB or is it an HDMI to HDMI?
Well, no, Rico answered it. He says he's just going USB.
Oh, you're right. He did.
Yeah.
I saw ISB and I held that in my head.
Yeah. It's like you were thinking IBS.
I was totally thinking. And then I went to IBIS and all that cool stuff. What is this, Sammy? The problem is people buy a camera, then they figured out it's not clean HDMI. So he's
That's
back.
very true.
Yeah.
But you also got to remember there wasn't many people streaming a year ago. 2 years ago, I mean, who the heck was streaming 2 years ago? And I know Sammy's like, I've been streaming for 4 years, but it doesn't matter. 90% of everyone was not, right?
True,
and then the thing is that they don't understand. And like I say this, even with the Canon M50, the original one, you absolutely can stream with it. It doesn't have a clean HDMI, but you can stream with it with nothing on the screen, but you have to use manual focus. The manual focus, right? Because after you hit info and you get everything off the screen, what stays there is the autofocus box, and it follows you around. So once you plug the manual focus of how you're sitting, like if I was sitting here, I'd focus on my face, and then I'd hit manual focus, and then that box goes away, and then you have a clean look. Simple as that. I mean, it's not as simple as that. There's a little bit more entail, but
it's a workaround. It's a
workaround,
and they're catching up. That's going to be something, because like you say, this is pretty new in a way, bringing this all to a pro consumer type.
Absolutely.
Mama has she has an Elgato
Elgato HD60. Yep.
Sure.
I've had one of those. I sold it actually when the market was like when people were paying $150 for those. I sold it for $160. And I bought it like a couple of years before that. So I made a lot of money on that. So I'm pretty happy.
What do we got here? Notice the modeling in the red barns. Is that from the camera or internet connection? Burn appears with modeling when they go split screen as John's color is clean. I don't know what he's speaking about my coloring. he says Red Barns. Maybe I might need a little clarification on that.
Yeah, I don't know what the Red Barns are either.
I don't know. I do want to know. So, Chris, if you want to kind of catch me up to speed on that, you're saying that John's color is clean, and I think you're saying mine might be reddish, which it is because I have a lot of red, and I was messing around with OBS today, and I think I ended up saturizing myself just a little bit too much today.
You look really good saturated.
I do. I'm a saturated kind of guy.
I think so.
What does he say here? When the screen is split, you can see modeling in the red background on right of Jay's head. Is that the camera or the internet issue?
Oh, what I think what he's saying is up in your screen, you have something blocking the front of your camera lens.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
No, that's just you know what that is? That's a temporary diffuser is what that is. But
it was covering just the corner of right there. So he
Good.
Caught that for you.
Nice catch. Well, I wish we had something to give Chris. He needs something for that. It's a hell of a catch.
You know what? I saw it too, and I've totally forgot once we started.
Did you?
Yeah, I was seeing it, but
so yeah, I we'll get back to chat in a second. So okay, I think we have more Canon people here, honestly, than Sony. We have a few Sonys. I'm going to go probably with Sony, and but the question I have, and I don't know if anybody is. We have a couple of Sony people.
Yeah.
Did somebody have a 6100 in here? I'm not exactly sure. I don't think anybody in here mentioned the 6600 or the 6400.
Sammy has the 6100, I believe. So
okay, yeah, I believe he does.
Sammy said there's no difference in the 61 and the 6400, which sorry, Sammy, that's not true.
There is a difference. The question is whether
it means anything to you.
The question is whether it means anything to you. Now I could pull up a cheat sheet here. I'm going to have to do a reconfiguring. Sorry. I just realized let's see here. Let's get.
I mean, listen, and also I just want to tell you this. That's if the information that you're getting off of the internet is correct, because I see a lot of people, there's not all the information that you should be getting on some of this stuff. Right. I've seen plenty of reviews talk about how everything is the same, but the thing is, they're always changing the software. So it's not just the mechanics. It's the AI that they're doing. And that's really where Sony is, they're really separating themselves by really tweaking the AI, starting with the 6400 and then really getting into it with the 6600. So the vast improvements are there. But, we'll talk about what I think is the biggest deal in a little bit.
And I don't know. I can't seem to get my screen. Oh, here it is. I always forget where it goes. All right, this is probably hard to read, and we don't need to go through all this stuff. This was just my breakdown of just Sony's today, and I ran through some docs today of the Sony. Of course, this is the price breakdown as of the date for just the body. So the $6,100 is $748, the $6,400 is $898, which is about $150 difference, and then the 6,600 is actually $200 off right now for almost $1,200, and then that almost got my interest, but at the end of the day, I just don't think that's in my wheelhouse. So that's not going to happen. Right. What was interesting is there are a lot of commonalities. If you look here, we can even go into, you want me to go into here? I'm going to show our commonalities. Here's our commonalities right here. You like that? I used it. So that's great. And I mean, from the autofocus, focus time, the sensor, the 4K, the 120 FPS, the 1080, on and on and on. So there are, and of course, they haven't changed, and they ought to change their flip up screen. That it's not the best, but the differences are down here. And I don't know. Let me get rid of this. I don't know about the differences. Weight, not really important to me. Although the 6600 actually is quite a bit bigger in a way, and some people like it because of better of a grip. Some people don't like it because it feels a little bit harder to hold in one hand. Minor differences, but the $6,100 has a polycarbonate, and I spelled that wrong.
Right.
And the other two, the 6400 has a magnesium alloy. And what's nice about that is it's not completely weatherproof, but it is really good at keeping moisture out and
vastly improved with the ceiling.
Yes, the ceiling, for me in dust, I kind of actually like that.
Right.
There's some minor differences in buttons and custom buttons. And I wanted to, Brian mentioned earlier in the thread, I didn't pull it up, but he was talking about, basically saying, man, custom functions and setting up custom settings and custom functions is the way to go. And I think he's right. You got to spend time really setting that up if you really want to maximize the value, I think, of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And let's see here. So the 6600 has no built-in flash from what I saw. So that was interesting. And then the big difference here you get into is like the viewfinder.
And I think it is a huge difference because that viewfinder is kind of pitiful on the 61. And if you're looking to get a main cam where you're going to be doing thumbnail, or you're going to even take it on vacation and put your eye through there, you're not going to get a solid idea of what your exact colors and dynamic range is by looking through that viewfinder with the 1.4 mil.
Yeah. It really, from everything that I've seen in reviews and just kind of the token research, it's quite a bit dramatic. It really helps with color. So, and then IBIS, we got into the IBIS discussion. Everybody says it matters. And then people say it doesn't matter. I'm of the school that for what I use it for, I don't think it's going to matter.
Right. Matter for what? That's what it comes down to.
It's a use thing.
But the thing is, you're skipping this one thing above, which I don't think a lot of people know about either, is the shutter life of the camera is vastly improved on the 64 and 100 and up.
It is. I couldn't find quickly. I couldn't find the shutter.
I believe it's 150.
Yeah, that's anecdotal. That's kind of what I was finding as well, and that's quite a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
And then I believe here, I mean, look in these, and when you're using PAL and NTSC mode, there's quite a bit of difference in the FPS as well. But then whether or not it really matters to most people, the extended dynamic range of the ISO is twice.
Right. And I don't know how anybody, whether you're using video, streaming, pictures, doesn't think that's a big deal.
Now I'll need to dig in, and I started having a conversation with Brian a little bit today about it, but
right.
Picture profiles and getting into color grading and all that stuff. I have an interest in it. Now, I think a lot of people do not, especially people who just want to stream, maybe do light videos. I get that. But when I'm looking at $150 value, I start looking at that option of, well, I looked at S-Log, but from everything I can read, there's HLG 123. And with the Sony, the recommended thing is to go with HLG2.
Yep.
The tweener. And from everything that I saw today, if I want to, and I do a ton, I know it's Photoshop and everything, but I do a ton of color corrections already for many years in Photoshop. I understand. I've done some in video. I think it's interesting, and I would like to get into LUTs,
right.
And to work into that. I mean, maybe not initially to hold me back in my process, but for $150, I just think.
Well, here's my thing, right? So Brian makes a good point, but about the shutter, right? Because you're using it for shooting video, which still your shutter opens and closes nonetheless. But
that's true.
It's just you're not shooting repetitious, right? But it's just saying that it's more durable over time in general. And there has been talk, if you dig in deep to these forums, where there were some, a little bit of issues with the shutter on some of the cameras on the Sony level. So, and the overheating was the other issue, which still was existing with the 6100s when you were recording.
That's the other thing, right? Well,
yeah. And so at the 64 level, it looked like it was pretty much non-existent at that time. And, but here's the thing, it's $150. Right. And I just don't know why, if it were me, I would spend the money, because I think these other things are pretty important. I think S-Log is important. I think color grading is important. I think that the EVF is important, when you look through and take pictures, because if you're getting this camera, I just don't use it. But if you're using it for one thing and that's it, then, you have to figure that out. It matters to you whether or not 150 is a difference or not. And a lot of people sell a camera in 2 years on top of that.
Yeah.
With
you,
all
you
that.
you said exactly what I was going to say, that I do want to take a lot of photos. I really kind of like in stock photos. I do a lot of traveling. So I really do like taking photos to back up what I do and tell stories.
Right.
And just for my own personal use, I don't know that I'll get 200,000, but I guess a good point would be if we're going to do a shutter count and try to sell our stuff down the road, that might be something that a photographer wants to use it as maybe a B camera even, or whatever. He might say, how many, I don't want something with a high count, I don't know. Brian
Yeah.
might be able to speak to that. I'm not a professional photographer, so, but I could
Well,
see how
every camera has a life.
yeah, I mean, every unit has a life. Another thing, I've found that there's a 30-minute video limit on the 6100. There was a question about that. There's a lot of bad information going around, or misinformation, because I think it's easy to get misinformation on this. I had it in my head from so many things I looked at that the 6100 was fine at 30 minutes and more, and it's just not, from everything I found. That was more. If anybody can speak to that has experience with it, I'd be great to know. But the 6400, 6600, as you said, they don't seem to have the heating problems. They go past 30-minute limit, no problem. And
Right.
I don't know if I would need to shoot past 30 minutes, but again, I feel like there are some projects where I might want to set up and let it run for a while for, showing time lapse, or maybe, if I'm doing a longer build project, I might need something that runs 35 minutes.
I have not needed it, and it's not been an issue for me with any of my cameras because I just don't record for 30 minutes. But listen, if they're giving it to me for free, and I already think those other things are worthwhile to buy into, right? Then for me, it's I'll take it. I'll take it. So that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. And, and then there's the buffer speeds are really about the same, but you start getting into some of the video stuff, and I mean, some of the speed shooting here. So you can see the little bit better use of the buffering in the 6400,
Right.
on both the JPEGs and the RAWs.
If that's important for you.
Exactly. I don't think that's a major selling point for me. The battery's quite a bit better on the 6600, but I'm not spending $400 more or plus that just to get a better battery.
Right.
And even add to that with IBIS, like that's just not somewhere I'm going to, go. I don't know, get my money out of. So that's why I'm dug in a little bit on, the 6400 versus the 6100 at that price break.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it all roads point to the 6400, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's my opinion, but I also have gone the route with you where I was talking to you and I was saying to you, well, who really gives a crap if you got the 6100 now, right?
Right.
And then it's not like prices go up, and the 6100 is probably going to be discontinued next year. And at that point, if you got the 6100, I know this messes your head up, but if you got the 6100, then go get the 66 or the 64 when it's another 100 or so cheaper.
See, Brian's talking about something you and I think we agree with him on this. And Brian, I don't know if we had a discussion about the AI and we're talking about the autofocus, right?
Yeah.
And continue autofocus. And it seemed that the AI, and maybe it's firmware, seemed to really juice up that
Starting
camera.
with the 64, right?
6400. I don't really know enough, but I'm just going to jump into this quick. FYI, don't record time lapse in video mode using. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, they have a built-in one, so that's cool. And then our friend shows up. Sorry, I had to finish dyeing my hair so I could go to these studs tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently somewhere in the chat there are two studs. I don't know where they are.
Obviously, she didn't think talking about cameras was all that important.
Well, she's got her Canon, so she's good. She'll
I
bring
have my Canon M50 and I stream with it.
Yeah. So I agree with Brian. The more, it's just a feel sometimes too. And I don't know that I would give people advice based on feel. But I feel like there is more of a difference between that 6100 and 6400 than people are admitting. And maybe people that have the 6100 either don't want to let go of that and think, no, I'm okay, which they are, because the 6100 is a great camera,
Yeah.
or they don't understand firmware updates and maybe where the difference lies not so much in the mechanism as it
Right.
is in some of the software.
Or they bought the 6100 before the 64 was out.
Well, that's probably what happened, and that's what I mean. They're holding on to the fact that, the 6400, but the 6100 is the same. People kind of hold on to like, oh yeah, but it's the same camera, and it's not. Look, if you don't use the camera like I might want to use it, it is pretty much the same camera.
And that's what it comes down to. I mean, if you didn't have a thought about color grading,
yeah,
okay, then I'd say then why? I might just say probably for you, why?
Yeah.
But
I mean, right. And it's true. But I really think I'd like to do color grading. I just see the value in it. If this thing was at 200 or more at the price break,
the separation, yeah.
I don't think I'd do it.
Right. I think it's just right there where it's close enough where you're like, okay, the 6400 is working for me.
Mama says, I probably would get the 6400 too, Jeffrey, if I'm buying one now.
Right.
Yeah. And
I agree with her. That's for sure.
Look, this is
I think Worthy said the same thing too.
I thought he has the Z1, right?
No, he said the 6400. He wants to get the ZV1 as a second camera.
That's right. You're right. He has the 6400. Look, this is marketing 101. They know how to price to get idiots like me to go, oh, it's just not so much, but they know this is not an accident when we're looking at this, right? We're going, oh my God, it's just it's psychology. And I have a marketing degree and I understand it. And yet I'm still one of these people that now I'm like thinking, I'm just going to overpay here, probably.
But listen, I know we've been talking about the Sonys for the whole time, right? But I just want to reiterate, I never use that word, that my point is 700, 900, whatever it may be, is a lot of money for a lot of people, right? And then
for me,
it's a lot of money for anybody, right? So on top of that, when you're trying to get your YouTube channel going, then you have the cords that go with this, the capture cards, the lighting, the mic. And a lot of times people don't have enough money to really gather all that up at once.
Yeah.
And if you could pick up the Canon M50 Mark II, clean HDMI, I think it's a great picture out of the box.
Yeah.
You got a mic jack built in. You got a flippy screen that comes out. You got a menu system that is so easy to and intuitive. You got a viewfinder built in. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's versatile as a camera. You got a decent life camera. It's not like great, but it's the lens that comes with both of these are decent for vlogging, decent for the average stuff that we have. Then I think that at $700, you almost can't beat that. And then go out and get yourself some decent lighting,
right,
and make it look good.
Yeah. We talked about, if I was getting back into this, I think I'd have a different, ramp. I don't know that I would do it I don't know that I'd go the path I went. I think I'd go more the path that we've been talking about. And I'd probably get a 50. And then I would, I think that would be a great, I'd be in the Canon family and that's fine. And because they both work. But this is where I am. And I'm actually gotten used to this. I like the menuing system now. I've gotten used to it. I know it could be better. I don't think it's great for people who don't want to screw around, but I'm one of these guys, I'm a PC guy. I'm an Android guy. I like to play around and tinker around. It doesn't bother me, but there are a lot of people who are like, what's this? I need to point and push and go.
Yes. Right. And everybody recognize that, the companies recognize that, and they make products for those specific people and they buy them and they enjoy them. And that's why, again, I'll say it, is that you just got to get the best thing for you. And then finding out what that is sometimes is hard because Sammy, I think it was, he said, is that a lot of people will go buy a camera and they didn't even know that maybe a clean HDMI wasn't even in their thought process. Or if you take a look at say the Canon M50 Mark II and they want to do slow-mo, okay, then you're getting that at 720 without any autofocus. Whereas if you get the 6400, it's an incredible upgrade. But because you're getting the good focus and you're getting 120 at 1080p, and that's, that's really important. And like we said, it all depends on how much of a challenge in these hurdles, and you like to use the word friction, you're having with this particular things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't like friction, and I think most people don't in this day where we have so much to do. We just need things to work. And Ash is, Ash, I think a lot of people feel, I mean, seriously, she wants another camera. I need to stop spending money, but I have love for cameras. And there are people like Brian who can't find a camera in his house because he's got so many. I will be overwhelmed having two. Now, to be fair, I spent $350 on this used A5100. So at that price, I'm really ecstatic with it. And you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, that's even cheaper. It works. It does what I need to do. It'd be a great B cam, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like, in a way, I kind of saved myself some pretty good money because if I B cam that for a while and I buy a primary an A cam that I like a 6400, if you take both those together, it's not too bad. Like when you average them out, it's still money. It's money I shouldn't spend, but it's, this is what the game we're in. Chris, is the viewfinder in those cameras touchscreen? Well, the Canon is.
Yeah, so you don't have a viewfinder on.
I think he means the.
Yeah, on some of them you don't, and then other ones you look through them, and then basically you have your controls on both sides of what you want to adjust in the viewfinder as you're looking. So that's when we talk about customization of buttons also come into play. Wow. But look at most people that are YouTubers, they aren't going to be using that viewfinder, right? Because we're mostly doing video.
No, just to clarify, we're talking about the eye viewfinder, which you put.
Yeah. But it is important. I'm just saying, I'm stressing that it is really important as far as the clarity upgrade in that viewfinder with the 6400. Because if you are taking pictures, I think it's a big deal, and I would probably spend the extra 150.
I agree, because I took the camera on a vacation trip up north, and the camera's great, but the viewfinder is terrible on the 5100 in a way. The colors are not at all representative of what you're doing, really.
And the screen resolution is not good either.
It's not good either. And to Chris's point, we're talking about the display panel. Right. The Canon is, I think, full touch, right?
Full touch, and it is much higher resolution. And I think at some point they up the resolution, but not with the 5100. That is a low resolution.
Yeah. Let me see here, actually. So
the touch screen itself.
This is the Sony 6400 versus the Canon M50. And I did this quick. So I went with there were three commonalities that were pretty good note here, which is not too shocking about the sensor and such. Well, boy, the differences are quite a bit. But one of them here was the true touch screen you guys have. I can pretty much, I'm limited on the 6400 of just setting up, and I'll take it, but setting up focus kind of things. There's really not a whole lot you can do with that screen.
So you see the Sony 6400 and see the 921K dot LED screen that tilts up 180 degrees up there.
Yeah.
And the 6400, right? Oh, you have the comparison. Wow, look at you.
Yeah, man.
You have the M50 up there.
I do. I have I have another page, because Google Sheets lets
you didn't even say that.
Well, I mentioned it, but you were talking.
Oh,
I think this was one of those where you're cooking with your wife
about what I was going to say.
And she told you, yes. And she's like, John, you got to put on your clean shirt tonight. You've been wearing that same shirt for 4 days. And you're like, you got you, honey. And then you still have the same shirt on Thursday.
Whatever. I'm listening.
So I threw up. I did sneak one up. I had 3 up there. I put up a quick comparison of the 6400 and the M50, kind of hedged my bet a little bit. And look, the body's a little bit different, and I don't know, is it polycarbonate with the Canon, or is that alloy? I don't really know.
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
mostly plastic. Yeah.
I thought so. So there's some minor differences in that kind of the body. I will say here, you get to the LCD monitor, it is better than the 6400.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have the limited touch screen. The sensor, though, on the LCD, the 6400 is 425 like detection points and phases, and I think you guys have only 143 focus points. So there's a little bit of a difference in that. I don't know how much you notice it. And again, Brian, how important is extended ISO? The extended ISO in the 6400 is pretty. It's because it looks like the Canon's about the same as the 6100.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, when you get up above on any of these, once you get up above like pretty low, like if you get up above even 8,000 with the M50 at nighttime, it's going to start looking very, very, very horrible in the dark areas of the screen.
Okay.
So I mean, like, look at you can say all this about the extended and this and that, but those aren't going to be something that you're not going to get a great picture. And I think no matter what, Sony's are known for being better at night. And this is why I was talking to you, like, if anyone was to get a ZV-1 over a 6400 or a 6100, I think that's a mistake, because you're talking a 1-inch sensor versus a crop sensor. The 6400 is definitely better in night and everything with doing the serious stuff. And the ZV-1 is it's going to be grainy. Exactly. So they're right. So I mean, it's just, but you know what, I don't want to tell you what's not.
No, I mean, look, I asked this because we're kind of all learning together a little bit. I spent a lot of time dumping in, and we got this max extended ISO constantly throwing at us as some huge benefit. I think it does allow for capturing a little bit more detail in the differences, but I don't know how often you're going to use it. And so I think it gets back to that. And I think it takes probably a special person with a special need to really get the value out of that. But when people are being told over and over and over all these videos by professionals how important that is, it starts to take hold of people. Like for me, I was dubious. So that's why I'm asking the question of people who might know. And I appreciate the feedback on that, Chris and Brian, because I do think it's a hyped thing for what they're saying. This is the greatest streamer vlog thing. And then they're trying to say, oh, and you should buy this because of the extended ISO. And yet that's not something that most streamers and vloggers are going to care about.
No, just about every one of them won't. But
and then recording. So you can do 4K in Canon. I might be looking at.
Well, the 4K is not anything you'll ever use.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to use 4K. I think
in the Canon, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that I would use it in Sony either. I don't know how many people are really. There are people that are using it. For me, I don't know, but I know you can do the 120 and 1080, right? If you want to do slow-mo. I can't remember with the Canon now. Can you?
No, it's 720.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a bit okay. So that is an advantage a little bit, in that
there's
area.
a lot of advantages, but now the 6400, is this the camera with the lens or without at 890?
Both these prices, everything I did prices without the lens.
Okay, without the lens.
Yeah, I wanted to get a raw feel. Yes, you can start getting into kits, and you can start comparing the kit lenses and all these things, and that starts to get ugly because it's just too many variables. So I just went with the bodies, and as you can see, you're talking $300 difference. So you'd expect that to be some.
Right. For some people, $300 is the world. So
it's not exactly not the world for me either, and that's why it's such a tough thing when you're going, because for the most part, people should be happy with the 50 and they should get things done, right?
Yes.
Of course, there's me going, but I want to push. There's things I like to do and I'd like to have that. But, it gives you pause, it does, because you talk about them. But that's why I wanted to talk about people. And you guys have had great.
Right.
A lot of these guys have had you have some really good opinions about, hey, again, it gets down to always price, but what are you going to use it for? And
bring our faces back already. People are sick.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez, I'm sorry. I was just loving the whole.
To remind you, because you just start rambling.
I do ramble. I do. I am a big rambler. But at least I'm not. I got my autofocus, mainline, so I can't screw my thing up so bad tonight. Although I'm a little red because I have saturation. Brian, I took 5D
5D Mark IV, yeah.
Oh, thank you. And shot slow-mo in 720. It's better than the reviewers think. See, I think that's true with so many things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, right, Brian, he knows what he's talking about, right? Not just saying that because he keeps on saying, I know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, Brian will tell you, right? And if he's using that camera, a lot of the older cameras too, everything was manual focus, right? So you would hit this shot for 720p in slow-mo, manual focus, and then you would cut to the scene, change your manual focus, hit this, right? So now we're getting spoiled because we're now having autofocus with 1080p 120 frames. So what Brian is saying is if you got the right lighting and you're cutting and your manual focus is on point, a lot of people will be surprised about how it looks. And I do agree with him with that 5D Mark IV and the Canon M50. Sometimes I think people will be hard pressed to catch that at 720 if done right.
True. And he doesn't seem to care for the
no
screen. So, I mean, I get that. And it's just not good. That's what Sony, there's two things that Sony, I think three things Sony needs to get their game on. And that is, well, the phone app should be better for what that's worth. But the flip screen is atrocious. The location is obnoxious because it's not, it can't articulate to the side. So you got to get an L bracket or a cage just to get a mic on. Now, the 66, by the way, does have earphones as well as a mic.
Yes, it does. Right.
I don't really, it would be nice, but it's just not that big of a deal. The 6400 does have a nice sound meter that does show up as you're shooting video live, and you can actually change things.
And the Canon M50 Mark II does. The regular Canon 50 does not. So that was an upgrade also.
Okay. And Chris says here, shooting a live band at night and having the flip out viewfinder saves me in dark clubs. Just saying if anyone needs to go down that road. And
yeah,
it's good to know.
No doubt. There's no doubt. And so the flip screen, when it goes out to the side and then you can articulate it, back and forth and back. Yeah, it is a real nice thing. And they don't do that. Sony doesn't do that until you get this ZV-1 here. And then you have that screen just like that. And I don't want to knock anything, but this camera's built-in sound is the best that I've ever heard. I think if anyone got this camera and they were to vlog with it and use the sound coming out of it, they would be so impressed. And this little 1-inch sensor that, you can't compare it to the 6400 at night, but it's not far off, man. It is not far off. So I'm pretty impressed overall with the ZV-1, and it's $100 cheaper than when it came out at $799. I think you can get this at $699 now.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken. So.
Yes, I understand. I think we were killing her astigmatism with the chart. I have astigmatism as well, and I don't even have my glasses on, which I probably should start wearing them, but I didn't want to wear them, and everybody go, "Oh, you're just wearing those glasses to look good looking like John," and I'm like, "Yeah, I should wear them now." I have 3 pair of glasses, one for reading, one for this, one for driving. It's because my eyes.
Well, I took my glasses off my desk, so you don't have to see any pictures of like 3 glasses on my desk, because that's like, it'd be like weird.
That's just telling right there.
Right.
As I'll admit, the M50 was my first every choice camera. Yep. After checking, and I love it, but there are so many choices.
Yeah.
You could have a budget of $3,000, $5,000, and darn well once you start looking at in that range, you're going to be like, oh, for just another 300, or if I don't spend that 300, you always get caught in the middle of any price range of, oh, if I don't do this, there's just so many. I don't know of a perfect camera. Now there might be a perfect camera out there, but if you guys have one, I think
it's getting close. It's getting close. It's getting closer and closer.
It is honestly getting closer. I'm not a fan of the ZV-1. Doesn't have changeable lens.
As a main camera, I can understand that.
Camera. Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
But go ahead. Is this your buddy?
This is a friend of mine walked in. Oh, we got another Canadian in here.
Nice.
And I just need to get bald now, and you have the fake glasses. Yes, if I could get the fake glasses, we would be a team. We'd be like superpowers, and we could do like, I don't know. We could do like some movies together. I'm sure people would love it. We could do a little, because I call ourselves streaming buddies. We could have like a streaming buddies like Marvel comic strip.
Yeah, but like anything else, you look at the Fantastic Four. Not everybody's the Rock guy, right? Hammer time, crush time. Not every, you got to have the guy who's stretchy. You got to have the Invisible Girl. You got to.
No, I'm not stretchy enough to do that, and I'm not.
Oh, these aren't fake glasses either. These are.
No, those are nice, but he probably knows that I would wear fake glasses if I could.
These are my reading glasses.
He's my buddy. We met playing Sea of Thieves online, and I met him playing this game a year or so ago, and he was on a ship of 4 people of Canadian French, and they started to attack me as a soloist, and we ended up becoming friends, and then we started sailing the seas. And so
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting friendship, and it's good to see him. He's a fun guy. What is he saying here? I've been hating on Sony too much tonight. No, I'd rather have some opinion. I mean, nothing you said was wrong. The menuing is crap for the most part. I mean, you can
everybody knows this.
Yeah.
And they're still buying them.
Yeah, because the autofocus is insane. You know what I mean? So you have
autofocus. It's the dynamic range. They're finally adjusting a little bit, and I think some people say even more. They hated the fact that the Sonys were ultra sharp. The sharpening on some people's faces is too detailed, and I think they've learned to tone that back a tad. And I think that the color correction is, the colors are coming better and better with each series of cameras that are coming out too. And they're amazing. They're great in the dark. The video that you get with this, their video is just amazing. What you're getting. And they're pushing each other's limits, and it's important because we're the ones that benefit if they do that. So
there is this competition between, just even the Canon and Sony. If we just go down that path, that competition is putting out. You're right. If you look 2 years ago, oh my God, 3 years ago, what you would have had to spend to get this kind of quality, I'll forget it.
Right. I mean, and it's really between them two. They're taking the market over. And, there's been talks of Nikon really going almost out of business this year. So,
and Brian, I want to know your opinion on this too, but I've been reading, some people hate the Sony color. And I know the Canon's probably got the best color, but cause I've heard Sony comes out a little green. Yeah. I mean, it seems to like a lot and stuff can take care of that.
Fuji has amazing color too. Fuji. Oh
yeah.
Amazing color.
How's Fuji doing in this streaming game? Because I know they're around, but I haven't really heard of anybody.
Here's the problem, right? There are better cameras that if you straight up, the video looks phenomenal in some of these Luminexes and some of the Fujis, the X10. Yeah, they're great cameras when you look at the video in general, but it really falls all on their autofocus systems. And this is where Canon and Sony just are so far ahead that it kills every other market for that matter. Yeah,
they really they just took a death grip right on the streaming blog.
I mean, autofocus is important. That's money in people's pockets, right? If you're sitting there doing a photo shoot and you increase your accurate shooting by 20%, that chances are you could sell your pictures or your productivity goes up. It all equates to dollars, right? So
yeah, and this is a hard truth, and it's the truth of it is the Canon is in a production world still is king, I believe. I know a lot of people really, just don't, one of the big knocks too, and you mentioned about the Sharp. I think what people would say when they compare that against, say, like I don't know, like a really expensive camera like the Red Cam. You know what I'm talking about, the Red?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that cinematic quality just because it's so sharp sometimes, and it is too detailed in a way. And so that's where, unless you're willing to touch it up and get into some good LUTs and some good grading, then, and I don't mind it.
Yeah, but the same thing with those cameras, the Reds, and I think you're frozen again, but I think the Reds and the Black Magic that's out there. You froze up quickly, but the Black Magic and the red.
There we go. Well, let's just give it a second. There we go. I don't know what's happening.
The Black Magic and the red, the same with those though, is they have a very cinematic thing, and they follow suit with what was going on for years, where everything's manual focus. Yeah. So, and I think Brian could pretty much tell you that that's not uncommon. But I think in consumer ideas, people just want something that's going to focus, because that makes their life easy. So
yeah, that's true. So Brian has some good things to say about the Canon color.
It's not hogwash. It's true. It's the thing is, it was a big difference 5 years ago. Now it's much less.
I'm not saying. I wonder if he's saying that Canon has too much magenta. I think he is. I think he's saying that the Canon has too much magenta.
Oh, well, yeah, there's preferences in the way things look, right? And but I personally prefer the Canon color, and it's not because I just have it. But the thing is, it wasn't stopping me from almost getting a 6400 last year, because like I've told you, there are people that make picture profiles that you can buy for like $50, and you can put that into your camera. And he took pictures and went over them, and the color is spot on Canon. So if that's a big deal to you, you want the Canon color, buy that that picture profile, you put that in your camera, and then all day you got the best of both worlds, which I almost did.
I'm not against doing that. I don't want to have to deal with the glass problems and I don't know.
No, you already got a Sigma 16.
Yeah, I think that the issue is we get into we get into all this, which so much to do as we're startup people, and I'm really startup, right?
Right.
I just can't get into like, oh, I'm going to get something different. And I entertained the idea because of the price differential. I mean, $300 in this case. Now, if we're talking about the 6100, it's $150, but
right,
even then you're like, oh my God. So, it's just, I think just because of all that, I'll stick with the Sony. But I can absolutely see why people, would jump into the Canon out of the get-go. And so, Chris, live streams market is way wider with what you can do today.
No doubt.
That is crazy true.
Yeah. And you know what though? Finally this year, I think the streamers, the creators, the YouTubers, the Twitch guys, they're getting recognition for really creating an economy based, financial boost into our economy with electronics and with technology. And I think they're finally a little bit getting credit this year for those types of things. And whether that will turn into creators getting better money and getting paid, who knows? But now we see TikTokers and YouTubers and streamers becoming like something out of the ordinary. I grabbed lunch with my buddy Chris. He's a musician here, McCormick, today. And I was in a local restaurant, and I was just talking to the one lady who's a manager. I was saying, could you imagine if you took the opportunities that are out there right now? And these opportunities always change, because technology is kind of weird. Then you have this little market. Remember like when Napster came out and you could download everything under the sun?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Sucked all that in, and then like right now, like I've talked to you about, is you can go on the Facebook marketplaces into these groups and start streaming. And now if I was a restaurant owner or something like that, I would go in there and stream live at my restaurant saying, these are the lunch specials today. Come on in, check us out. And it would show up into a group that has 10,000 people for their town or 50,000 people. And then you would definitely, I would believe you can make it happen where you can increase your business. And so, I don't think, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I really do.
Yeah. And COVID and all this really put a pressure point on just making this like the tipping point, right? It's like, oh, it was going there, but at a much slower pace. And then with COVID, as we all know, it just went nuts.
Berserk. Yeah.
Everybody's trying. I mean, look at the difference in what you can buy for lights and interfaces. And now a lot of that stuff's been kind of like, I like the cameras. They're gouging, of course, because it's ridiculous, like some of the stuff. But at the same time, so many of the prices have gone down too. So it's just a. So, oops, that's not what I wanted.
I want to see this, because then if Brian says don't buy him, what does he know that he can do for us?
yeah. Don't. What do you? You might want to send a private message and let us know what's going on there. But I'd be curious if he's saying. Man, I don't know what he's saying there. I'll have to talk to him.
What I think is that he can probably make his own profile. I mean, I can go into my camera and I can make adjustments on saturation, contrast, but that is out of my realm to be able to make a profile and dump it in. But people make LUTs and profiles all the time. It is something I don't know how to do.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, because he gets into this right here. The EOS HD fake log isn't real either. I don't know enough about that to comment on it.
Yeah, I don't know either, because it's a lot of data going in. My EOS R is, I have to buy like a 250 megabyte SD card. Otherwise, if I try to record an S log, it's like, I forget what it is per second, but it's a lot of data. So
yeah, and this is probably one of my favorite comments. Be wary of what you read on the internet. And I think that was one of the reasons I just got into this whole thing. And before I even, we talked, and then I got myself in a twist. And the more we talked, and you know how it is, you get kind of more confused, and then things start to straighten out as you have communication and perspective. And really, if you really look tonight, for me, there's been a massive amount of perspective here. It doesn't matter if people support or don't support. I don't want people to give a yes person answer. That doesn't help. You know what I mean? If they really truly don't like something, that really helps me understand. Even if I end up going that way, I understand the limitations of what I might be getting myself into. Chris says you can do a profile through Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One. Folks, love your camera, but don't forget lighting. And I love Photoshop.
Maybe I need to tap into my friend too.
Maybe you need to. I think you might need to tap into good friend.
Right. Maybe if I can make a special LUT for my room that makes it look a little bit better, then heck, I'm all for that. Yeah.
So again, I don't mind that. And I like doing my own things and learning. So, I mean, again, I'm not going to do it. I don't have a lot of time to do it right now, but if I have the ability to do stuff, go into Photoshop.
Oh,
okay. I see what he's saying here.
Yeah.
He's basically just saying that it's a blog that claims to add log to non-log cameras. So
and that's impossible. What they do is they have profiles that they can put out there that make it a little bit easier to get some kind of pull. But Brian is absolutely right? Because if you're not changing the data that's going in, then you have a limitation no matter what, I think is what he's going to say.
Now, I don't want to be the idiot here, but is there a difference between that and what we're talking about with LUTs? I mean, isn't LUTs basically okay, help me out.
Yeah, well, the LUT is like what you can put in your it's not like a big difference. It's similar, but when I talk about a LUT, I'm like talking about a LUT, how we might use for your look right now, right? We might put a profile on just for us streaming in that particular room. Yeah. And it's the same with a profile that you might use, like the standard profile, the portrait profile. It accentuates little different dynamic ranges and contrasts and stuff like that. So it's similar, but he's just saying like the Canon M50, right? It only takes so much data in, and at that point you can't change it. You can't make it take S-Log because it's just not taking that data in to make that change. But the EOS R does, and therefore you have 10-bit log coming in, and you can make big differences.
Yeah, so I knew it was a lookup table, but I guess
these guys know what they're talking about this stuff, and I don't know this stuff, and this is us learning a little bit here.
This is kind of what I was thinking. So it's not a profile, but you could add a profile to a LUT. So I was trying to figure out the hierarchy of how all this worked, and that does make sense to me. But I think what we're going to have to do is have that makes
me now. Okay.
Brian and Chris on and have a discussion about a deeper discussion on that, because it is interesting. I don't know that a lot of people want to get into it and do it, but I'd learn something.
Well, I think it's something if you can tweak and improve on your particular look for your room with your lighting, and it's something that is a fine tune, then down the road, it's something that everybody likes to be fine tuned to make things look better. So,
yeah, like in the case of my studio, it's dark room that I have total control of light, so I can probably set certain things for certain moods. I'm guessing based on profiles and all that, setting all that, so I don't have to sit there and try to screw around. And
I mean, I'm not perfect either with the look. It's just like when you have a bald head, you're going to get these hot spots, right, from the lights, right up in here. And it's just a fine tune of not making this too bright and this too dark to do the best I can with what I got.
If you started diffusing it more, you would.
Yes, but my whole purpose of not getting these panels was not to have a huge anything on my desk area, because I hate the way that takes up so much room.
You mean like soft boxes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I am definitely not going that route. John's head looks. It's not horrible. I know it's a little shiny, but it isn't really horrible. And it takes me like no time to set this up. Very fast. And matter of fact, Jeff, you have the same lights, right? So
I do. Exact same light.
Yeah, I absolutely love them. You people can go buy your Elgatos for $400. Go ahead, blow your money on that stuff.
$300 a pop?
Well, the Elgato is $200 a pop, and it's $400 for two of them. But what I spent $157 for two.
Okay.
And I don't really get any people saying anything bad about the lighting. So
okay, well, I did. By the way, I got about 20 minutes when things were breaking down here, and I didn't know if I was going to have sound or anything else, and I sent you a tear.
Oh, God.
I got a shipment came in, and my two soft boxes came in, so they're still in the box. I should do probably an unboxing, and nobody cares about unboxing, but I'll do it anyway. So I did. I want to play around. Thank you, Chris. Because I'll be honest with you, Chris, for me, just wasn't my thing. Like I play musician, or I did other things. I wouldn't screw around lights. I kind of got an idea, but once you start really playing around with lights, you really start to respect people who do photography and videography and what they have to deal with in so many different like venues of life.
Even like when you shoot B-roll, it's like, oh my God, the lighting is not right. You got to adjust the lighting, and it's a lot of work.
I'm sitting at a desk that doesn't move in a light controlled room. And there are times where I was having anxiety breakdowns going, I can't figure the lighting out,
Right.
And now I did eventually, and I understand 3-point lighting and all this, but I think, again, I like to push a little bit. So I'm like, I'm going to get some soft boxes. They're not huge. I mean, they're, but you got to get them a little closer than you want, but I have room and I have another area, and I want to see the difference. I want to know what the difference is between these, which I love, but they're a little harsher, and what a softbox can do. It doesn't mean I'm going to replace these with a softbox, because I don't want that stuff around my desk, but I do have other areas of the room I could use them in.
Absolutely.
Or I could light the room up, and instead of dark, I could almost make it a little bit more, light.
Exactly.
So, and I'll play around with it. They weren't expensive, because you can get some decent soft boxes for whatever. They're LEDs, but they're well diffused, and they have remotes and all that bull. So we'll see. I will let you know how that goes. And I appreciate the word on that, Chris. And any advice on lights, I will take. Trying to figure that balance out. I did get a hair light. That was something that I figured out how to do, and I don't know how important it is.
Yeah, I've tried that, but
says here, really, do you prefer one? The interface froze on over other. I'm not.
0.5. Can you afford?
Oh, okay.
Okay, he's giving us a rundown on everything. We're getting graded. So the interface has froze, and that's an issue no matter what. We can't control it. We don't know the interface. It could be his internet, it could be in my internet, whatever.
I mean, I tested my internet today. It's great, but you don't know. Like, I don't know what you can't really control that, sadly, but it bums me out.
To be
StreamYard.
honest with you, Jeff and I mean, I'll say it right now. StreamYard is great for, popping up the questions here and interacting with everybody. And it does a great job for a cost-effective way to make that happen. But in the end, eventually, we'd like to have 1080p. We don't want to be stuck in 720.
Yeah.
And then eventually we want to have more control over our mics, because we can definitely hear when we go back that our mics are compressed and held back. The audio's held back. It's cut down. And we don't sound as even good as our mics do sound. So
it's a look.
but it doesn't change the message.
No, it's a bummer when you want to do something.
Right.
It doesn't change the message, but I think that's human nature to always want to kind of push it. And when I got into this, I wanted to do something at that value, but StreamYard has been a great way of just getting going, and maybe vMix is in the works here. But Value Point, what can you afford, is absolutely always the best advice that you could always have. I wish people would just grab onto that like dear life. The lighting, you guys are crushing that, which,
that's nice to hear.
It's nice to hear, because it's one of those things that I overstress quite a bit. The mics, that's also good to hear. I played a lot with it, but the truth of it is I just moved my system and I haven't even had a chance to dial in anything on this system. So that's good to know. John always sounds good. I mean, I
was pissed off. Like he said I was hot, coming into this stream, and it's like, drives me nuts, because I even asked you, like, do I sound good? And maybe because we were starting out the stream, I projected, but it just never seems really perfect when I'm going through 3 different things. So
it's just like compression on compression at that point. It's kind of a nuts.
It's such a fine line between me being too low and then actually going over when it comes to StreamYard, OBS, and everything.
I can promise you, Chris, I'm not going to do this on my phone.
No, that's the whole idea. We're definitely upping that level.
And I do have a link. You probably do too. I don't know if we use the same ones. I have like 3 pair of in-ears, 2 that I use for drumming, which are a little bit more custom and more expensive. I wouldn't recommend, just because I think they have a lot more low end for that. But for the spoken word, these Ks, I think you have the Ks too off of Amazon for like $40.
What do you copied me?
No, because I've had these for years. So that means there's no way I copied you.
How do you know I haven't had mine for years?
You just didn't. There's no way. No. There's no way you had them.
Well, I don't think we copied each other, but yours are K Bears, the KBs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're the KBs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just picked these up. Also, I think for about $25, these particular pair, and I really like them. And to be honest with you, I didn't mind wearing headphones, but man, my ears were getting hot when it was like 45 minutes into the show. And I was like, oh my God. And so these actually are much clearer, much, much clearer. And they're much cooler, and it gives them this streamlined look too.
I'm just looking just for what it's worth. Mine are KZs. That's right. And
I know those too, though. Those are very good.
The KZ ZST Pros, they're only, what are they? Well, they're 44, but just, I've had people ask this. I always should just tell people, I should keep it handy. I'll put them in. I don't know. Can I put them in chat? I'll put it in chat. I don't care.
They're actually good too. They're very good.
I like them. They're very clear.
Yeah.
I've even used them on some light gigs. But yeah, I dig it. And I don't like ear cans. Some people just love them. They're okay.
Right.
And Patrick says, give OBS a try and OBS Ninja to bring in guests, take some settings.
That's the funny thing is that he even says that. I was looking at it last night, Patrick. I didn't tell Jeffrey this, but we had talked about how about all this. And then the OBS Ninja was just like, I got to look into this more. The problem is, I think the quality will be there. There's no doubt, right? But I just think then it's like 5 other things that we got to piece together to make sure everything works. And at some point, I know that it's going to be like, I just want to spend the money for something that works, period.
Yeah, it reminds me. I went down. Did anybody else go down the NDI train to try to hook up their two computers with NDI, stream out of one, like gamers usually do?
Yeah.
I did that. I did some stuff like that with people and streamed out a second computer using NDI. That's kind of a touchy fussy thing. It does work, and I was shocked that it didn't have as. I thought it had more latency. I mean, I had to set up an intranet down here, but what's that about?
Brian, he's
Oh,
like, look at the Sony color. It looks pretty damn good, doesn't it?
I don't think that's what he's saying, but you know.
Oh no, I
No.
think it's come. Oh, he's like, ew, are you? Oh, but I don't know. But it's like, I think it's come a long way. I think the ZV-1's color is pretty damn decent.
Google's OBS and Ninja. I actually looked, somebody, I don't know. I swear to God, I saw Ninja yesterday, the day before, and I've heard of it, but I didn't go down that train because I think I heard as well that it's kind of a stack. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into that. Then I'd rather pay for vMix and just get it set. The question I have for vMix, and I know we've totally moved on to another subject, but how many sources do you get at that lower level tier? Let's say 4. What does that mean?
I looked into it, and it's definitely the $700 thing that you want to get.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, but listen, because the fact is, it's not even the sources. You can't even bring. You can't even. John's right. Looks great. See, I think it does too with the Sony. So, but the thing is, I just believe that you want to have the availability to have 4 guests on.
Yeah. That's the thing. Look, $700 is a lot of money, but then as you move along, you're like, there are certain things you're willing to pay for to get it done. You know what I mean? So I'm not totally against that at all. I think there's some validity to spending that money. It's not a price point it's a camera. I mean, it's not a price point that's the end of the world. It is a lot of money. But if you're at a point where you want to have 3-4 people in and get into a higher level quality of production, I don't know.
Yeah. And like, I think you were just starting to say, like, at some point, I just don't want to be messing around with things for hours and hours like we did with the one day that we'll never get back. And it's not even us. We're like, is it you? Is it me? And we're going back and forth.
We were starting to yell at each other like, it's got to be you.
And no, we actually never
not yell, but we were exasperated because you didn't change anything. I didn't change anything. And here we are with this problem. And then ended up being some kind of weird tweak in the StreamYard that made no sense.
Yeah, it was opposite settings that we've been running for weeks.
I know. And Patrick, I'm the same way. I love to tinker.
Yeah.
There comes a point where I'll always want to tinker. And yet there comes a point where John's saying, I agree that, man, I just want to I just need to get something done. And this is friction. And I want to be able to move past that for a higher goal,
Right. And to be honest with you, there's things I want to tinker with that are more up my alley.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, I don't mind tinkering with that, but it's not holding me back from something.
That's it.
Blah, blah, blah. But I absolutely love to tinker. And if you don't, this probably isn't for you because you have to tinker with everything.
Everything.
Just to get up and running. I mean, it's like setting up a NASA. It's just, what does he say here? When I finally do a live stream, I'll bring you guys on to test OBS Ninja and you'll probably kill it, right? That's the whole thing. We'll go on and we're like, man, look how good this is. He got it all set up. He's not spending $700 for
it. Secretly, I believe that I'll be messing with it sooner than I say, because it's just me. I kind of just know that I would want to see if I could get it to work. And then I'll be like, yeah, but I got it to work, but it's just freaking too much work and I don't want to deal with it, because it's not even that. It's not even that I can't get the cameras in with the guests, which we will be able to figure out. I am not getting the quality audio and the control over the audio that I want.
Yeah. And then ultimately the image.
I mean, you got to go XLR. I got a Rodecaster, and we're kind of like a little bit held back by the things we can do sometimes with using StreamYard.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't know how to do sound. I mean,
and OBS for that matter.
And yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I mean, Ninja's worth a look if nothing else to understand. And maybe it does work. Maybe it's a bridge towards vMix where you go, I've done enough where now I can justify it. But it just depends on how much you got to do to squirrel away time to get it to work. And is it
Right.
as fussy as NDI was for me? And, I don't want to deal with that. And,
Mhm.
Chris wants to know, as rolling with a 3-camera setup, I think you have at least 3.
I got 3, right?
Do you white balance or get concerned? 2 are Canon and 1 is Sony. That's a good point.
I do. And then I figured I wasn't going to worry about it too much. Because as long as I can, if I want to spend the time and it's like a big deal to me sometimes, I just want to make sure that the lighting looks even and the white balance looks kind of even like he's saying. So I'll go in there and manually put my white balance into most of them all the time. And then I would just want to make sure one's not too dark over another. But that was a concern when I got the Sony. Was it going to be like a very noticeable color wise off the bat? And I would make sure that if it was very extreme, that I would. But the lighting is different too, coming from the side here. So if you're looking at the lighting from the side versus the front, you're going to get a different look. And then also, if you're looking at the Canon M50 here, it's facing into the light, right over the top. So I mean, these cameras are all in different areas with different,
but in that case,
different lenses.
But to his point, you'd have to really work hard to try to find some common ground between the 3, especially if you did want to mix them. In that,
I don't think it's that big of a deal because I'm not like a production studio.
That's not your concern. That's not your.
No, I mean, like, look at this shirt. Are you going to be like, you're going to look at me here and be like, oh my God, it's so far off. No, I'm serious. What do you think?
Well, I mean, now it's black shirt. And then before it was blue.
You know what I mean?
Black.
It's blue. Not that big of a deal. So I don't think, so, I mean, we're just streamers and basically no one watches us anyway. So what the hell?
And you're right. And
wait a second. Have you seen the other streamers where you got 150 people watching? For God's sakes, they don't even look good as us sometimes. I don't know.
It is true. It's kind of funny. I mean, some of the bigger guys still using StreamYard. They just, like me, they paid for a minute just to get rid of the logos to see how it works. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And we do look good, but it is what it is. I think in the end of the day, I'm probably going to, I'm going to run with the 6400 and, I'll count my pennies and see where I'm at when I pull that trigger.
Now, are you going to get the kit lens or not?
I know you're all over me about this kit lens.
Well, I just think that, what are you going to do? You're going to go sell the 5100, and how much is someone going to give you for that then?
Well, you don't know if I'm going to sell the 5100 because I think I might keep it.
Okay. And then when you go do sell it.
Yeah. So, yes, I eventually
the
will.
Next camera that you get, you'll get the kit lens with that?
Yeah, I would do that. Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, then it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. So that was my thinking, like right now.
You see this? I know, right? I know, but like, I'm so glad that there are some people watching, but I mean, who doesn't want more people eventually?
Oh, it's Tuesday night, I mean, sexy camera talk is what it is. And I also went way too long. I mean, we're at an hour and 45 minutes. These people shouldn't even be.
No way. It's never too long. I love the 2 hours because I feel like we just have much more fun in the second hour anyway.
Well, we usually do. Yeah. But sometimes Tuesdays are just, okay, Chris, he's just funny. He's got the old laughing thing. But you know what? In my other room right now, I have so much equipment that I've got some pedals. I've got, what do I got in there? Some pedals. I don't know. The snare, no. Cymbals, no. Too expensive to replace. But I do have some extra pedals sitting here that I don't use. Some of that I can get pretty decent money probably off that stuff. So I'll probably sell that. I have a pile. So I am absolutely going to get rid of some stuff.
Maybe if he didn't have such a big yard, he could afford a better camera.
That's true. I could sell part of my yard. I could rent it out to some vagrants. 2 hours is a short show for John. It really is.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
I tried to shut down the show last week and you stopped me dead in my tracks. I remember it was like, I think it was an hour and a half in and I was like, oh, I guess we're good to go. And you're like, no, we're not ready.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's your show. You end it when you want, but I'm all for it. 2 hours all the time.
No, I just laugh because I'm like, fine. We went into that. We finished it off and got that extra half hour in. And Let's see. It doesn't feel like 3 people are watching. I didn't even look at the number. Oh, we're up
Right.
to 5 now. I mean, people keep coming in and out.
Right. They're like, who the hell are these guys, and why the hell are they streaming still? Like, give us our bandwidth back. We pay for this.
So, what instrument does Chris play? What does you say he's a musician, right?
Yeah, he started on drums and he's been playing bass. God, I want to say like something around 6 years now. If he'll answer, but I think it would be something around 6 years. And we met motorcycle riding, so that's how we started out.
So he was a drummer, and then he went. Girls like bass players better, which they do. And here's another advantage: not quite the load in that a drummer has. I mean, there are a lot of great reasons to make that pivot over to bass player. So kudos to you, although that won't be for me, but I really hate the load in. I don't like all that gear hauling, but
I like Brian's comment a lot.
He said, you guys are great. I'd watch another hour. I don't know if he would. I think Brian says that. He's a nice guy, but I think he'd hit about 205 and he'd be like, click, get the hell out of there. FYI, David, musician and drummer since I was 8 in bass.
So he
you need to interpret this.
Yeah, is this 2 drinks in?
I think this might be 2 drinks in.
David musician. Is that a style of something? I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
But he's been a drummer since he was 8. So that's why I know he's been a drummer for a long time.
I did that thing too. I kind of started around 8 o'clock.
Oh, he's been playing bass for 8 years.
Okay.
That's what it is. Because I said 6 and it's actually 8.
Yeah. Why do you do that to people?
You know the bitter end, right?
I played the bitter end. Sure.
Yeah. I've been there since my dad started playing there in like 80s.
Right.
And
I'll have to send you some shots. I've done probably the bitter end a few times.
Yeah, my
nice
Chris used to play before this whole thing hit. He was playing down at the bitter end quite a few times.
It's a nice little joint, right? Got some
history. Yeah,
it's fun.
It's got a lot of history.
It does have a lot of history. I like it. Every time we would go there, I'm like, this is a nice little stage. It's always just a good little crowd, and it's live music in New York. You can't beat it.
No.
No one has mentioned the Blue Yeti, but I want to appreciate you dropping the nugget. We can't make it one stream without that idiot coming in. Not you, Patrick, the Blue Yeti idiot.
He owns a Blue Yeti, Patrick.
I know. Who does? Patrick? Oh, brother.
Yeah, all these guys do. They start watching these people and they go out and buy Blue Yetis, and then they go and make videos on the Blue Yeti, and then they throw away the Blue Yeti the next year in the garbage. And they made a video and they get monetized because they made a video that got 40,000 views on the Blue Yeti. You're all Blue Yeti users and you just try to get monetized with the Blue Yeti, and then you don't use it after that. You're done with it.
What I want to say is I think you guys are brilliant for having the Blue Yetis, and you should just move over to my channel. Because you just slammed everybody in their Blue Yeti. They're not throwing them out after a year. That's not true.
Well, maybe some of them are.
Yeah. I saw, did you notice, Brian, did you see this his video that he was doing, or his post where he had his office torn apart looking for a camera? He has so many cameras that he lost his camera. He was looking for
Which one did he lose?
I don't know. Which one did you lose, Brian? I gotta let us know.
I think that you can't lose a C200. The freaking thing is huge.
Oh, I lost the thing here. But basically, I see what he's saying. He's saying Chris was saying he played it monthly till COVID. Yeah. That'd be a great gig monthly, just pump on down, go down there. It's a little far for me for monthly, but
all those places, man. I remember growing up, there's so many good places. Downtown used to be a place called Kenny's Castaway. Mm-hmm. There used to be a place called the Rodeo Bar, and then the Roadhouse.
Isn't there not the radio?
All in New York City.
Yeah, there's a couple cool places down there, I remember, but yeah, I always enjoyed
dancing at the Limelight when I was like 18.
Isn't there like a Lions Den or something down there? I can't remember. I could have sworn.
What is that? UFC?
Remember, I bought it 8 years ago for $40. It's still a great mic. It's an 8. He's got one of the older ones too, which is probably better, just not for live streaming. What is the right situation for a Blue Yeti?
Right. What's the right situation?
Zoom
When you
call.
show up to a Blue Yeti festival? That's the right situation.
Could you imagine if there was like a whole festival of people that are just Blue Yeti owners? They're kind of cultish enough it could happen. Like they could have their little festival.
He probably was going to start a YouTube channel 8 years ago. He bought it used for $40. And he's like, I'm going to do a Blue Yeti video and get monetized. And now it's 8 years later. And he finally started his channel.
Yeah, Blue Yeti kind of just monetized everybody, right? I mean, they're kind of like sending out shit to everybody at one point.
Patrick's doing good too, by the way, with I think he's up over like 240 subscribers or so now.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You mentioned that yesterday, I think, that he was capping over some numbers there. So, kudos to you, Patrick.
Kudos to you, brother.
Yep, you're giving me some inspiration, and every
We
one
love
of those is great. Once you're over 200, that's such a lovely. You're pushing on to 300. Congrats. Standing ovation. We talked about the ovation. Brian, the Nikon DSLR. Are you sad you can't find it?
No, he can lose that.
Yeah. Why would you want to find it? What are you going to do with that as a paperweight?
I had a Nikon DSLR.
Did you?
Back in 2010. I had a Nikon D50-100.
Huh.
That's what I had.
What do you want me to do with that information?
No, I'm just saying that's what I started out in, right? Because I took photography in high school. And then when my son was born, I'm like, I want to buy a nice camera.
Yeah.
And a nice camera. And I'm telling you, like, this is why.
Then? Yeah, people don't remember 2010, man. It was still flip phones and those crappy little digital cameras, which were okay, but
right. But I'm just saying, I think the camera setup that I bought was about $1,100, and I remember like having a panic attack about spending $1,100 for a camera. I thought it was insane, and I bought the camera, and my wife started using it more than me. And that's when she started the photography business with that camera. And then she turned it into us upgrading. And that was her backup camera. And I bought the 5D Mark III.
Oh, right.
So that's how it all happened. Like that.
That's the thing. See, that's like, you have no idea. Like you could easily fall into the Sony tree. Maybe it's hard to know, because sometimes people like you're like, I know I'm in it, but I need to go another direction and I'll work my way out of it. Sell something, do this, pivot out.
Right.
I know I'm in it, but then there's me going, I like the equipment enough. And with everything, I don't want to make that sudden movement. I don't want to throw myself in reverse and stuff and watch the transmission hit the ground.
I think it's also at that time, right? You got to look and see where, like with anything, right? If you go looking for a car at this price point, this is a good car to get. At this price point, this is a good car to get. And at that time, Nikon had some, it does some, Nikon has been around for a long time. They do some good work, and people were pushing that camera, and it was a good camera for the time. So,
yep. Patrick, thanks, guys. My goal was to get 200 subscribers by the end of the year. I've changed that goal to 300. It has a lot to do with you guys and the community we're building. What great. I mean, if somehow either of us will help you get one subscriber, it means the world to us. So it's funny how somebody else's success makes you feel good. It gives you hope about your own path, and you feel like, I mean, that's a nice comment, because if you feel like, if we had anything to do with it, then you feel good about it. Like, that's a good thing.
yeah,
it's probably the best thing that's happened tonight.
Up in goals is a great thing. So
yeah, it is absolutely great. I mean, you're well on your way, so that's really great to see. I was reading about Brian. He said, if I don't find it, I have to get someone my 5 to learn photography. It sounds like that'd be a problem.
Have fun.
Not probably desirable. I still don't know how you lose a camera, man. I mean, come on. Meanwhile, there's someone upstairs going, don't even. You lose everything. You know what I lost today? I'm just going to lay it out here. Apparently I lost it, but so I'm in Sprint, and T-Mobile and Sprint joined up, right? And so now they're together. And so they sent out new SIM cards that you got to put in your Sprint phone, so you get all the nice new 5G. I have lost the SIM cards.
It sounds about right.
So that went down, and because I was like, where are the SIM cards? And she's like, I left them on the counter. I'm like, no, you didn't. They're not here. And then as we started fleshing out what happened, it's clear somewhere they ended up in my hands, and then somewhere I don't know what I did with them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get in touch with these idiots tomorrow and go,
We do crazy stuff all the time. I know.
Jesus, dude, it really is dudes. Where's my car? Like, I can't figure out. I've looked everywhere, so I don't know.
Not that I've done this lately, so don't try to break into my car. But literally about 10 years ago, I would get paid each week and I'd put my paycheck, the check itself, because I got paid by a check. It wasn't direct deposit, right?
Yeah.
And I would put the check in my middle console, in my glove, not the middle console where your arm goes, the armrest.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
so I was meeting two other guys and we would travel into, this job, which was pretty far away. So we'd always share the driving. And so one day I left my car unlocked. I had 8 checks in my middle console
Oh, Jesus.
and $600 in cash.
Oh, my God.
So
Tell me no.
There's literally like $7,000-8,000 sitting in my middle.
You had to be just losing.
I was going all day because I didn't drive. I couldn't just get in my car.
And your mind was trying to go. Now, did you tell your wife? Like, did you have this discussion, or were you like, I'm just going to wait to see how this all plays out? And
Listen, I didn't think anybody would go. It was at a mall. I left my car at a mall. Okay. So it's at this big mall because the bus comes and picks people up so I can park there. And I was like, okay, there is freaking 8 checks and $600 in cash. And they're like, you are stupid. I'm like, yeah, I am. Stupid.
Yeah. Thank you. Because I just need this so I can sleep in.
I went there. I went back and I just, said a prayer, and I was at work all day and came home and everything was there. Thank God.
Chris says, I joined Drum Ups. Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate that. We've gone down this road. Yes, I realize I don't have a ton of many videos really up. I'm working on them. I'm behind. But there will be videos. I am committed. So thank you for signing up and giving me that little boost. That means the world to me. And look who's in the house, Steve Worthy wants to know what did I miss? I think he saw the dude wearing my car reference. And well, Steve, we're just holding out for the 2-hour mark, and then we're going to head out. Hey, Steve, before you leave, if I'm not mistaken, John says you have the A6400. Could you just, if you're still around?
That's what he said, I believe, in his post, and that he was thinking of getting a ZV-1 as his B camera. And he said to you, good choice. And I believe it is.
Yeah, and he looks great. Like his streams look really good.
He would look great if it was the 6100 too.
He's a good looking man.
I mean, he's put together. He's
put together. He's just
he's got great presence, and no joke. We're teasing a little bit now, but no joke. He has great camera presence.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
He does. I mean, so he really I described it. That's great. My subscription thing with doing this, and then I'll get one. It'll tilt, and they'll be like, "We had to shut you down because you tilted the YouTube channel." That's right. Funny. Oh my God,
that's happening to me anyway.
He wouldn't even answer the question. He was too busy going there, just screwing with everything, thumbing down everything. I get it. So yes, he has a 6400. I don't remember what mic he was using, but I swear to God, he used a tin cup with a string, and his voice would sound really good. He's just one of these guys that has that whole package going on.
He's one of these people, and I don't know Steve, but I could see it, right?
Yeah.
He's putting the effort in to move forward. He doesn't want to stand still. He's not looking to go backwards. He wants to move forward. He's serious about what he's doing, and he's doing the work to get it done, and vice versa. So are we.
You're seeing the steps. Like he doesn't make weird, crazy movements and I like this. Like he's taking the steps. You start to see something new. You see the progress. And again, for me, that's just another one of those, oh, that's a great influence. There's certain people that are just taking the steps quietly, but making those progress. And I think in the end of the day, I think it's the best way to go.
Yeah.
There's always a time to lay out some major thing, but I think obviously continuous steps are going, and people are like, oh, where's your content? I'm like, I get it. I've had some personal things I had to work through early on, and things that now are getting settled, and that's great news. But progress being made, and I've got my script. I've for what it's worth, I also dumpster dived into using Notion to set up my progress, and then I think that's something I want to get into someday when we flush it out. Is using like Notion to set up your flow
Yeah,
and
that
building
could be one of
systems.
the next things that you may talk about eventually down the road.
I love it. I'm really into productivity software.
Right.
Really this Notion stuff. I love Trello and all that, but to take Kanban and all these tools and put them together in a really nice flow. This is just made for for creative content guys like us. So I'm excited about that.
Hey,
Hi,
John.
you know what, John? That's cool, man. Even you just saying hi is
Yeah,
fine.
thanks for stopping and saying hi.
We're wrapping up in about a minute. I
Good
feel
night, brother.
we just couldn't leave. We just couldn't leave it. You guys are too. Yeah, you know what? The truth of it is, I ran into Steve pretty early into one of his streams, and we just hit it off. We have the same humor. I mean, I want to sit on his porch and have a beer with the guy because he's just one of those guys, right? Like if you could pick your neighbor kind of thing,
Right,
you know,
right.
and I'd love to have you on one side and Steve on the other. That would be my perfect little neighborhood.
And you said that about him, and I still haven't really been able to, meet him, and we haven't talked and everything. But you go by people that you're in. We were all working on the same stuff, and he is doing testing to make improvements. And I've seen some of this stuff because we belong to the similar group, and I just see what's going on and what he's doing. And I'm not tooting your horn by any means, but there are certain people that we see, right, that are striving to make progress, right? We have goals. We're not looking to do this as a game. We're serious about the progress. And Jeffrey and I are, and it's clear by watching you are too, so I'm just telling you that.
Yeah, he is. And I really want, and I didn't lose touch with him, but with being so busy and getting out of Lita and then the Streamer Accelerator, trying to get my feet into everything, I did lose a little touch with him, but I tried to stay on top of his videos, and because I do want to retouch base. And yes, I would love to absolutely. I think it would be a huge joy to sit and have you three of us around.
Especially if he's got humor like us. I mean, that's
oh,
all.
I mean, you could tell he despises me, but but that's okay. I almost respect him more for the hatred he has of me. I feel like that's good, right? I mean,
hatred's good.
Hatred of me is good. Oh, Lala, I'm so glad you stopped in. I can't even believe
Lala, like always, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you haven't catched her streams, she's always working hard to improve her streams. And I hope you are getting to the bottom of your audio issues, by the way.
She is actually. I know she was struggling with the Wave 3, which I think it takes one of those things where I know she was getting the loop back.
Right.
I think that's one of those things we probably could have figured on the right out, but she ended up with a solution that worked for her. And I think she's happy with it at this point. So that's really good. And her craft stuff is amazing. If you've looked at her craft stuff that she does too.
Yes.
She's so talented, man.
Yeah, I'm always trying to catch, it's not always possible to catch everybody, but I'm always trying to catch into our community, who's out there, who's streaming, who's doing what, and checking what's going on.
Yeah. And Chris, I'm on a PC. I like Macs, but I'm a PC guy. And so I'm OBSing into StreamYard like John. Some of the software may not be available. Yeah, it's true. What's the I don't know what software we're talking about actually now.
Yeah, it depends what software.
It's not available for us.
Right. We wouldn't use Ecamm if we wanted to stream live. And I don't have a problem with that because I hear tremendously good things about vMix. So
I think vMix is the way to go. I think we both are going to we're going to push into vMix. And I'd like to be those guys. I'd like to get into vMix and do something a little bit higher quality, different. I think we really enjoy it. Steve, it's going to be the 6400.
Is it? Is it though?
Yeah, it's going to be the 6400.
Wow, man, you were going back and forth still.
Not really. I didn't really dip back into the 6100 that hard. I've stuck pretty much in the 6400. Good. There's a good reason. If someone said to me, not me, I'm going to 6100, I respect it. I think at that $150, I'll make it up somewhere, but I want the option of profiles. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
And you know what? The truth of it is, I may never use them. that could happen, but I don't think at $150 for some of the other things that I was looking at over the $6,100. I even like the alloy casing better, to be honest with you. Some
Yeah,
of
I
the
do too.
stuff. So
When I
for
hear that with the ceiling that is improved, which is a fact, with a
yeah,
stronger shutter, I mean, those are big pluses. And I think you made a great choice.
yeah, because I just as for even for resale, like if you go down that path, you mentioned the shutter life and stuff like that. So it's all that stuff. It could be. Um, if you want, I don't like to think about resale off the bat, but you do think of those things. So it could be something. She is consistent and she is
Yeah.
diligent and she's pushing through a lot of things. And so, it's, if you've watched and lead, which we did,
Right.
he's dealing with, family and at home and COVID, like a lot of us. And it's just, it's an inspiration, no doubt. So I wanted to see here, Patrick, I'm a Mac guy.
We know that.
Are you a Mac
I mean,
guy?
what do you think? We don't watch your videos?
Yeah. OBS works great for my M1. I have Ecamm, works great as well. If I had a PC, vMix is the way to go. I think ultimately that is the standard thought as far as you're going quality and stableness, right? I think you would want to go in our case vMix. I think that's really the only real option.
We want control over
Control.
the stuff we're doing.
We have control issues. Now, I mean, look at you got a Mac, you got an M1, which is an amazing machine. OBS is, I think, really solid since 26, 27 on. And Ecamm seems to work really well. So, I mean, that's a nice stack. You know what I mean? A great little platform. And I don't know, it just seems to work for people. I don't know enough about it, I suppose. But I think for us, we can stick with StreamYard, but we're always going to be handcuffed. And vMix gives us the ability to play and push around, and I'd be a little more customized with what we want to present, and a little higher quality. And
handcuffed in a weird sense, because it's I think StreamYard give us the ability to go out and start on on 2 platforms streaming for super cheap.
Oh my God, StreamYard is a blessing. And if you want, you can spend the money, you can get, was it $40 a month or whatever? You can get the 1080. I can't remember what it's around 40.
Too much for me.
The problem is at the end of the year, you're starting to like, oh my God, in a year and a half, I could easily buy vMix
Easily.
Yeah. And I have a platform I can go on. So, thanks guys. Job well done. Good debate. I'm not into changing languages or comfort zones with interface. Yeah. I don't think people should do that unless you really have a need. It'd be hard to leave Canon with lenses now. And I think that's where I'm at. I think ultimately, Chris, I think that is what really kept me in this ecosystem was the investment I've already made in time and then the lenses, and
I think it's like you take the choice and you pick whatever ecosystem it is, and then you just go into it. You know what I mean? So if you started with your Sony and you've already been able to get through that menu and learn it, then what's the sense? Just keep on moving forward with it.
Yeah. 6400 is a good choice. Now let's get you guys hooked on full frame. I'll be honest.
I'm on a full frame.
Yeah, he's on a full frame. And what's a full frame going to run me though for a decent full frame? What's a better than starter cost on a full frame, Brian?
All depends.
I mean, it's going to be more than $898, I imagine.
Yeah, 1,500.
Yeah,
for the body.
But that's a starter full frame where we're back to almost a 6100 version of this sensor crop.
That's just that's and that the glass is going to cost even a lot.
Right. And so if money was no thing, that would be awesome. I would love to get that for some of for videos and things, just to have that extra little kick. In a heartbeat, I
don't know. I think if you learn what you got and you're using these 6400 66s, you got to, if you have I don't know. I just think this stuff looks so good in comparison to anything that's been around for years. So, it's just like, I think if someone knows how to use their stuff, you would be like, oh my, I seen a video that a guy did and he used his iPhone to film a movie and it looked incredible.
Well, and that always gets back to it that you could do any of this stuff with the phone if you're constantly.
But I think these are so far ahead.
I mean, the phones are amazing, but it's also a hassle, I think, and the quality isn't what I would want or a lot of us want, and it's not easy to hook up. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but yeah, I agree. I going to stay in that system. It's kind of like, look, the M1s are great. I'm not going to just dump my PCs and everything I know about and everything just to get into that world just because of the M1s are great.
Right.
I got to deal with and I still like this ecosystem. You know, we
That's
talked.
it.
This is a real thing, and I think you have to. There's a reason why I did this, and I lean on John a lot, and then we took it to you guys, and reason I wanted to do this was because I do respect the people that come in here.
Well, opinions are important, right?
Their opinions, and even opinions that you go, oh, they don't like what I like. Because that helps with buyer's remorse. And at the end of the day, people are like, Canon's better. And I wouldn't disagree, but it helped me reaffirm going, yeah, all those were right. But for me right now, with my investment and where I'm at, this ultimately is the best option right now between price and pressure of change and all that nonsense. And I don't want to get into gear acquisition syndrome. Honestly, I don't want to be a person who lives in that world.
No,
I want to get content done. I've spent 6 months acquiring so much, but almost 6 months acquiring so much stuff.
Right.
I started with those Jellycomb HD $19 cameras and a little spotlight just to understand. And like November, that's how far I've come.
Yeah.
And so this has been quite a journey. But you guys, there's so much talent and understanding and experience already in here. And so I really appreciate it. And I feel really calm about where I want to go.
Yeah.
Even though
I think it's important, like you're saying, like the people that are having these opinions are also using this equipment. So they have an opinion based off of using it, not using it.
Yeah. And I can trust it because it's not, I mean, as much as some of these opinions are great on the huge channels, but you know, a lot of it could be sponsored, a lot of it, they have their own bias, and I can appreciate that.
Right.
But I don't know them. And so these people coming in are not only they're using it, but they're using it. A lot of them are, you know, they're just not out there with 80,000 streamers. They're guys who are like, they're kind of like you. They've got some subscribers, they're building their channel. And so they can appreciate that I need good information. I don't need to have, you know, I don't need to be bullshitted about what's happening here. There's actually real information going on,
So if I was going to get a full frame, I would absolutely say the best bargain I'm talking about is an EOS R for Canon. There's no doubt about that. And then the other thing would be right now at this point with the new Sony's coming out, I believe it would be the A7S3, where you can probably pick one of those up. And I want to say in the ballpark of $1,800. But then remember, you got lens issues. But the thing is, Sigma makes a fantastic lens, just like the Sony that I have here. You can pick up, you know, a 24-70, and you get like all these zoom, and you know, I can go in at 28, I can come in at 35, whatever, and that's $1,000. That's $2,800 for the
money. Now, I don't know how good the A9 is. I mean, I know it's about $3,000 right now, I think, for just the body.
Yeah, but that's over the top.
I mean, it's so over the top. You know, it's like I just at that point you've moved past streamer world and you're almost more into filmmaking, right? Than you are vlogging and streaming. And I think that's another point. Where do you cross the line where your equipment is just far surpassed where you really need to be?
Yeah, it's overkill.
You know, and that's and again, Chris, I have to laugh at this because it is the same thing in the music world. You know, I have drums here now. These drums here I got behind me, you don't see them. Part of my white kit here. That's the Yamaha Stages from like the 1980 or recording studios. Actually, and they're actually well sought after. I have the cheap $600 kits and I have expensive kits, and the bottom line is some of the cheaper ones sound great. And at the end of the day, and Chris I know is going to agree with me, the player is going to make this thing sound good or bad. Usually you can get some fun out of some good or some nice equipment, but I'm going to tell you, for drummers especially, guys who understand touch and dynamic technique, they're the guys who pull notes out of drums or then push them through the bottoms. Those guys are the guys, they can make anything sing a sound. Steve Gadd types are going to make anything sound so sweet. Tin Can sound great. So I'm a believer in that. And I don't believe in spending too much money on it. Cymbals sometimes can really make a difference. And I did see where Steve's talking about he's going in the IEM. You know what? Do not overspend on them. Now I have.
What's he talking about? What's he talking about? He's going in the rabbit hole, you think?
he's going deep diving into the in-ear monitor rabbit hole. And so my thing is get $40. I don't know. I put a link somewhere. I could give you a link.
Those you have, the CZs and these K Bears. And
I have the KZs, and I can put a link here to get a starter point.
right.
I know that John's got stuff in his channel thing, which is another thing I got to do. I'll put it here if you want to try to grab the link. I have like $300 Sures for drummers. I have 310s. I have West Tones, which are amazing because with West Tones you can set the ambient noise you hear. So sometimes it's nice to not be living in a sucked up universe. You can allow certain ambient noise to get in. What is that?
That's the brand that I got. It's these, and they came in this little pouch.
Those will work too.
And
I will tell you,
very portable.
As a drummer, and someone who listens to music, my KZs I like a lot. They're $44. I say if you're spending more than that, I think you're wasting time unless they're just not comfortable. But I look, I've had, the Sures that you go and get them waxed and they mold them into your ears, and that's great, but you just don't need that. You're going to spend way too much money.
Right.
I don't know. Like I didn't sit down and break all the frequency responses down, but the KZs had a little low end, but they had a little more clear vocal. And for me, they've been very, very comfortable to listen to and to wear. But, I'm using KZs right now.
There you go.
Well, I mean, are they working for you? I mean, why are you looking? Do you feel you need to look? Are they not comfortable? Are they wearing your ears out, audibly? Because sometimes
any of those things could be a factor. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could be all that.
I got these because I heard they were the most comfortable for how cheap they are.
Okay.
Because
you said
when it comes down to it, right?
Were they $25 or something like that?
I think they were $25 for the ones without a mic. These are just the earpieces, and they come off right at the earpieces, so you can replace the wire if you want. And the one with the mic was like 35 or 39.
Okay. So, I mean, I think any of those will work really well. And I'd say, unless you have a special needs, spending more than $50 just seems kind of insane for these. That would be my two. I've had these now nearly 2 years. I actually use these on gigs. They're not really made for gigging, but I know a lot of drummers who use them on gigs, and they work just fine as a backup pair to my 310s. In some ways, I prefer them to I think they're almost more articulate than my 310s, and they're always like $300. So, I know Brian uses, I don't think he uses in-ears. I like to play with different headphones, different cameras. It's fun. And you know what, Brian, this is the thing I hope to see on your channel. You are so playful with your gear, but that is you. Like, that is really awesome. Now, I do like to change my stuff up here and there, and I just don't now because it's just a nightmare as I'm trying to get things together. But I think your tribe, your people, including me and John, would be fun to go in and see using different stuff. And I have some questions about certain headphones I'd like to get in. It reminds me of the guy we were talking about yesterday on YouTube. And
yeah.
He's got the open headphones.
Yeah, he's got the
DT10s,
990s.
And he's right about the frequency response and all that. It is clean. I might be too clean and sibilant, but I'm almost want to try them now because
I want them. You can get them for $159.
They're not bad. They're really they're great.
Really
they're great earphones, and I don't remember what the ohms. Those are not the 800 ohms.
They're either 250 or 300.
Okay, yeah, I think they're 300, but still for $150. I think after everything, we wouldn't really want them to die, but I'd like to try them out. I'd like to hear what they sound like, and give it a shot. But right. Yeah. She said, Lala says, "That's Brian. You three can collaborate for sure." I have a lot of things. I think John, there are a lot of things I'd like to probe like an alien right into Brian's head. And I've kind of done that on my personal world. And he's been so kind, but he's got so much knowledge, and I don't even think he knows how much knowledge he has. But we should definitely, there are some things to dig in deeper and have fun on with Brian. Plus he's just a fun guy. And I think that would be a great collaboration.
I think also going along the way, right? As we have more direction about what we do, we can probably find little niches where people can jump in. We can have shows with them. So,
Yeah.
we get on topics that everybody's, wants to. When we find out what their strong points are and how they can relate about what we're talking about, then we
Right.
can all collab a bunch.
And I look at the people that are in here. I know the ones, they're all pretty serious about what they're doing, and everything that I've seen from people who have made success out of these, whether they're real big success or moderate success, have said the same thing. I think we've all been very lucky that the Lita thing has allowed us to coalesce around a certain number of people that we can kind of move along our way. It's more important than I thought it was. I did not realize how important it was to network with people that are in your stage and are in that kind of incubator phasing, and how important that is to pull each other along and then grow with each other. There is something to that. And a lot of people
Yeah.
in this game have grown together and have leveraged each other in that network. And we've seen it. I'm talking about, they're out there, and it is,
People don't talk about it too much.
they don't talk about that because they don't. I think that's a secret sauce of this.
Yes.
There's a piece of this that they don't want to give away, but I can name names in different areas of people who are clearly, and they're open about it. Actually, they're not even hiding it. It's just that people are not being aware, or they don't have the ability to get into this network. And
Right. I agree with you, and they're leveraging, right, and they're growing together, and they're supporting each other. And listen, I'm telling you, I watch a lot of live streams, and you will be blown away how many people show up and support their fellow streamers that 700,000, 500,000, 100,000 subscribers, and they show up on those streams, and there's a reason, because they're all supporting each other. And so if you're seeing on that grand scheme, that grand scale, and you better believe that it can be effective on our scale too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and in fact, there is a group of guys that have made really good success who champion that, who make it very clear that you need to have that kind of coalescing around. It doesn't mean you have to be invested into each other and every grain, but to have that to bounce off of, to kind of lend out some resources and just to kind of grow, because you can send people back and forth and have this ability to help each other out. And I've done that with a few people. Obviously I'm doing it with you, and it's been major, but to Steve's point, I didn't get into Lita to do that. It just ended up being one of the best things that came of Lita. And, there's some psychological tweaks to understanding. I really couldn't imagine where I'd be without going through that process and then coming out on the other side with the people that I've met.
Yeah.
And what I want to know, that changed a lot of things. It wasn't what I expected, but it was better than
with anything. I think you're the one that has to put the effort forth to take out, what is going in.
Yeah.
And so you can go in and you can point out negative aspects on things, or you can say certain things didn't work for you. But in the end, you meet people, you grow with them, you choose not to, and you got to learn in life. And it's not just it's life is a fact, is that you don't carry these any toxic people on your back as you're trying to move forward. You can't, I'm not looking to save the world. I'm looking to go and kind of move forward with the people that are trying to put as much effort as you and I are into streaming and YouTubing and things like that. So when I see someone like Steve, and I'm not joking, or Brian, pretty much the people that are supporting us, right. is, the Patrick and
Ash,
all of them, Lala, they're working hard.
They are, and they understand. And yes, the stream went way too long as always, but yet here they are, and I want to be there for them. And you can always do better, but and what I always hear in looking at success stories is 2 people, 5 people, you got to not worry about it, right? You stream like if you have no subscribers, you stream like you have 5 million. If you have 5 million, you stream as if you have 1. And so I really believe that, and you attract what you give. And clearly we must be doing okay, because these are pretty good people to be around. And I'm hoping we will be able to do more and more as we go forward. to get back to that. We talked about it. Brian, don't get too excited. My most viewed video was a phone video of an orangutan. And yet, here's the thing. That's funny. In a way, that's actually pretty awesome. Because, again, it explains to people, my most watched video is a phone video of an orangutan. Because, again, what's important there? It was the subject and the content. And there's just so many messages that I think in looking at what we do, even on a small level, and seeing how that plays
There's a
out.
lot to learn.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I wake up and I go, I'm just so like, okay, I have my trailer scripted out and I'm like, did I overthink this? I probably did. And so I'm trying. I did. And so I'm trying to rank. I mean, that's the thing about Johnny. He says it, he's right. But I need that. I need somebody to say, you're overthinking, you know, get your head out of your ass. You're overthinking. And it's true. You know, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to, you know, you guys can go.
Well, it's just my, and I'm not trying to bust Jeffrey's balls. Is what I'm saying is for anyone that's here, I think it's just important. You can go back and you can make these, you know, trailers so much better in 6 months from now or a year from now, but just get something out now. And don't overthink it, and then get the content out and just keep on improving. And then 6 months from now, if you want to change that trailer, which you probably will anyway, right? Because as you move forward, you might change that trailer as you're growing.
Or it might be that you're just pinning your best video at that point because you've got some video, you know what I mean? You don't know. At some point, I see people don't even have the trailer. What they have is they pin up their best video or something that makes sense to explain what they are. You know. I'm
not making a judgment call on what you're doing, but it's
no.
Like anything, everybody needs a push to keep on moving forward sometimes with things, because all this is new and it's brand new for you. And I'm hitting new things all the time. And there's a lot to learn, and you can't get caught up in that.
No. And, you know, Chris, I've really tried to take my lessons from 20 some years of being a professional musician exactly right. Just to understand the ebbs and flows, the startup value that if only one person showed up to the room, you play as if there's 1,000. I've done those gigs. Those turn out to be some of your most fun gigs in a way. So it's like, I tried, at least I can take that experience in. And I think that is a great advice. And when John says to me, you're overthinking it, I'm not the kind of person that says, I'm grateful that somebody says that. Like, you're doing someone a favor when you do that, because you allow them to get out of their head and just do it, right? You kind of give them permission in a weird way to give themselves permission. And actually, when we do that, I mean, some people could be mean, but I mean, I think the way to go is if you be honest with people. And when someone's like says that to me, and then I feel like, yeah, and I'm the weight is lifted because he's right. And blah, blah. So my next Tuesday stream, I'll have that done, and I'll be in the middle of at least getting my first actual can video out.
But remember, I say these things because I know how you think too. So
I know. I'm
not that you just. I think that what I'm saying is that you always want to do a good job.
I know, and
so it's not like I want to do a shitty job and then I want it to be crappy and I don't care, because I know you're going to do a good job anyway. And
I have really worked hard since Lita, and really for a while now, to understand about how perfection just kills any kind of joy and progress. And that is my mantra. And what I ended up doing is I did have something over planned for a stupid trailer. And now I'm kind of like pulling it back into 60 seconds of just have a conversation and get out and do it. And one of the only reasons I didn't is because I didn't have some of my final laptop stuffs. I don't have any excuses. So I'll get the thing, but John's been a big help in helping me understand that for the people that are left to care.
All right, enough.
You suck. You really, no, I'm just kidding.
Enough.
All right, brother. We are hitting 2.5 hours, which is insane.
We are.
Chris has got to go to bed. Everybody's got to go to bed. If you're still
Everybody's got to go to bed.
I got to go to bed.
I got to go to bed.
Gone to bed an hour to go. But I want to thank everybody. It meant a lot to us. It certainly meant a lot to me for you guys to come in and help me with this. This was a serious discussion for me, honestly. I do stress over money. I've gone through some issues lately about that. So it was a stress point for me. And so it meant a lot. It wasn't some game I was playing. It was really cool. So I really appreciate that. Till next week. I don't know if we have Thursday planned, but we're going to.
No, there's no plan yet.
No. Okay.
No, but I got to get a thumbnail up tomorrow. So Thursday, Coffee Talking Tech, 9 o'clock Eastern time. Jeffrey and I will be back on. I got to get something together. Unfortunately, I have no excuse, but I have to get it done.
So I guess with that, John, we're going to call it a night. I will see you on the other side, my friend. And let's just, I don't know, let's try to play some music. Let's try to do an outro.
You want to try to play some music on the way out?
Yeah, no one's here. I don't know.
Thank you.
Let's just do this. Like,
Look
I'll
at
do
that,
it.
man. See, you're fancy. I don't do that stuff.
I'm not really like, I don't have it smoothed out yet. So I'm just going to pick a song. Here we go.
Steve, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Steve, you're great. Appreciate it, man. We appreciate you too. And I would say good luck with you, but we're going to be checking in on you and having you come on. We need to do that. So
thanks, Chris.
Chris, you were a huge support tonight. Absolutely appreciate it.
I feel like I'm being serenaded.
I know. I'm going to get you out of here.
Oh, jeez.
I'll get you to bed and do your thing. And we're going to put him out. You can still talk if you want. I'll leave your mic on.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, I'll leave it on for a minute. We'll play some music out of here. We'll put some magic.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much.
So don't say anything too rude about me. But
I'll wait till after.
Drum solo. Here it comes, everybody. Drum solo. I'm going to do that some night. I'm just going to get on the kit.
When you hit 100 subscribers, will you do a drum solo?
Absolutely. I'll do a drum solo. If I hit 100, I'll absolutely do it.
Okay.
Here's a bass solo. Oh. Getting funky with that. That was Chris on the bass, hammering that out. Doing a little bass slapping there.
Boom.
I love bass slapping. My best friend's a bass slapper. I love it. Brian says night stream buddies.
Stream buddies. He loves that.
I like it. I do too. I've got my t-shirts made up. We're going to be stream buddies, man. It's going to be awesome. You can laugh all you want. All right, kids. Good night. See you next time. Bye.